To begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garoppolo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Good morning and welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined by my co-host, John Luke Garoppolo. What's up, JL?
I will never be able to hear that introduction, like you saying those words without hearing the song again in my life. I'm your host, Simon.
Whenever I say it, though, like whenever I try to say it afterwards, it sounds like I'm just like mocking the hell out of you. Like,
Jalen Garoppolo.
Like the person in the song does it much better. We got Tommy in the chat already this morning. Yo, welcome to the show.
Man.
Happy Monday. It is a happy Monday. So happy this bright and early this Monday morning.
The happiest I've ever been right now.
Just wait till tomorrow morning. Tuesday morning is when I'm my happiest.
Blast off.
3 Tuesday, Wednesday, blast off. We got Maria in here saying hello. Hello, Maria. Welcome in. Glad to have you here talking some football on this Monday morning. JL, before we get into the games, and oh boy, is there a lot to talk about with these games.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh pal.
I did have to bring up one thing. It's Monday morning, which means I do one thing every morning before the show starts. I go through and I check all my scores because I don't check them on Sundays. I know it's a point of contention. We've heard about it in the.
It's a philosopher. It's a philosopher thing for you.
It's a peace of mind thing. It's a lifestyle choice, right? Like I made a decision a while ago I'm a worrier. I've brought this up before on air, but I'm a worrier. And so I made the choice, not just in fantasy football, but things that are outside of my control, I try not to worry about. And once those lineups have been set, if I'm looking at it, all I'm going to do is worry about it. So I don't check. That's besides the point. I was checking this morning. You and I are facing off in a league, JL. Head-to-head, our first matchup of the season. We're in a couple leagues together, so we've usually got, a couple.
Just a few.
Like 10.
Like 10 leagues together.
This is our first matchup of the year, and I looked this morning. We're done. Players have finished playing. There are no more players left.
And what was the result? I haven't seen it yet.
You currently have 0.46 more points than I do.
Let's go.
Less than half a point.
And we're done? There's no more to play?
We're done. No more to play. Woo! You are going to beat me by less than half a point. It's my first close loss of the season, JL, and it's just like I forgot the pain that you feel when it's like, if Tua didn't leave the game for those like 5 snaps, maybe I win. Know what I mean? It's like one play could have been the difference in this game.
Oh, man, I had Jerry Jeudy, too. I had Jerry Jeudy in last night's game on this team. And so I beat you with Jerry Jeudy, who finished with 3.7 points. So I really
you needed every
I came hobbling over that finish line. Like my car was just wrecked.
You were driving my car. My 1998 CRV that
me and Nathaniel Hackett.
Time. Nathaniel Hackett got dragged across the finish line in that game a little bit, doesn't it seem like? I know he's 2-1, but yikes!
Yeah, likely 2-1.
Not a hot start so far to this season. And Tommy, you're saying, "Ouch, nice win." Yeah, JL, that was a pretty good win. I'll give it to you. I'll let you sneak through on that one.
I'm sure I'm going to lose like 50 times in all of our other leagues the rest of the season. We got so many.
Man, you know what? This year, I was like, oh man, I'm really identifying great wide receiver value in these middle to late rounds, right? So I can go more running back heavy this year than I usually like to draft. Stick to what I know, man. Stick to what I know, because these DJ Moores, Darnell Mooney's, Alan Lazards, it's not going great for me. But Lazard did have a decent game that he put together. I see over in the YouTube chat, we've got Lucius saying good morning. What's up, Lucius? Welcome in.
How you doing?
And Brad says, good morning, fellas. And he said, before you ask, Simon, Brad. It's 8:35 p.m. Monday night here. Hope
before you ask. Good to see you, Brad.
Australia time update. It's always about the same difference between here and there, but
yeah,
I just never quite believe it.
Hope you're having a good morning, Brad. Happy to have you here with us.
Joe, it's nighttime. You just
happy good morning, nighttime to you, Bradley, if that is your full name.
Thank you, Joe, for correcting that. Yeah. I just want to talk a little bit more about this Sunday night football game and just NFL. First of all, like, we love Sunday night football. I don't want you to get the wrong idea whenever I say this. Like, we all love Sunday night football. It's fantastic. I don't want it to go anywhere. But if you're going to make me stay up, right? Like if I have to stay up late, I got to be up at 5 a.m. For the love of God, don't make it an 11-10 mess of a game between the Broncos and the 49ers, right? Like give me Dolphins Bills in this time slot. Like, throw that Ravens Patriots game even in this time slot. Like, don't put, like, this was predictable, right? Like, we tried to be optimistic with some of our score predictions, but like we saw this one coming. Like, this snoozer of a game was about as predictable as it gets. And now we're tired, and we saw 21 points scored.
It felt like this was the type of game that makes you want to just turn the TV off, go to bed, and never watch Sunday Night Football again. But that's the wrong move. I'm here to tell you that's the wrong move. We're going to have better days. Listen, it's a new day today, and we got the Giants. So there's that.
Yeah, it's a new day today, and we've got Daniel Jones versus Cooper Rush in primetime, baby. We're going to be up at 11:45 p.m. being like, Daniel Jones fumbles again.
So all that optimism. Listen, you're gonna hit it again tonight, and you're gonna say, JL, it happened again. I'm done. I'm quitting. Don't do it. It's a mistake. Next week we got a bunch of more bad matchups to watch. Trust me. Just wait.
I think we got a good Thursday night matchup this week, don't we? Have Dolphins Bengals.
I have no idea.
I just feel like I saw an image. I think Ian Hartitz posted it. It was Tua going from room to room of like Lamar Jackson, then Josh Allen, then Joe Burrow. Like, it does feel like he's on a little bit of like a tour of like knocking out the young superstar QBs. Yeah. He's like, oh, you don't want to include me in this group? Just watch.
It's like Amon-Ra St. Brown with his list.
Exactly.
Crossing off names.
Tua's got Joe Burrow coming up next on his.
Yes.
Okay, but if we can make it through last night and tonight, we're rewarded with a Bengals-Dolphins Thursday night football game.
And then listen, the Sunday night football game next week, Kansas City at Tampa Bay.
Okay,
all right, cool. That's promising. And then Monday night football, the Rams at San Francisco.
See, they already listened to me. They already listened to me a little bit at least.
That's three good prime times.
I have to imagine those were changed after my little
right after you just said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the last 3 minutes.
No one fact checked that. Thank you, NFL. I really appreciate the quick response. It's beautiful. But Jill, in that game last night, a couple more things that are probably worth mentioning. Russell Wilson, not the hottest start to his time here in Denver. They talked a lot about it on the broadcast last night as well. But one thing that stood out to me last night, I feel like for the first time this season, we saw it a little bit. Know what I mean? I felt like I haven't seen Russell Wilson through the first 2 weeks. But last night there would be a drive. There would be a series of 2 plays where all of a sudden we saw Russell Wilson look like Russell Wilson, where he gets a little creative. He does a basketball style pass while going down. He escapes Joey Bosa outside the pocket, throws the ball out of bounds, but avoids a sack. Like, we saw some old school vintage Russell Wilson. Did you hear them say it on the air last night?
No.
During the game, the announcer said vintage Russell Wilson. I was like, oh, JL's going to love that.
Yes, Chris Collinsworth.
But do you think, like, that gave me more reason to believe that this is maybe just time needed to adjust into this system? Like, this may be a difficult system to grasp, and they're coming from running this system with Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson's not Aaron Rodgers, and just trying to figure out how to mesh these two things together. Like, do you think they get this together?
Yeah, I mean,
they got it, right? They got
Russell Wilson, we know what he is. We have ample evidence to know how talented Russell Wilson is, what he is like playing football, and what he brings to the team. So it's very unlikely that this is a Russell Wilson issue in the sense that, like, it's related to talent, and more likely, like what you said, it's either a system thing, him getting adjusted to that. It's an environmental thing. I think we often tend to simplify these things. Oh, just plug him into the system. He's good. But it's a group of people. It's a group of humans. And I'm sure everyone has experienced humans aren't always the easiest or things are complicated. I think it'll get worked out. And if this is a Nathaniel Hackett issue, then eventually that'll become very clear.
Now, every time I've ever been on a team at job or at school and they just randomly plugged someone else in to start leading it, it's gone perfectly, JL. There's never been any friction. So that analogy just really isn't helping me.
You're right. Forget everything I said.
No, as soon as I don't know why. This is the first time I've thought through that. I'm like, oh yeah. Every time like a manager or a director or anything's been replaced, I've always been like, man, F that guy. Like I'm not working with him.
You're new. I don't like you.
Now, to be fair, it was never Russell Wilson. Know what I mean? Like if it was Russell Wilson, I might have been like, you know what? I'll give this guy a chance. Or maybe the Russell Wilson of the automotive electronics world.
Sonic world. But I felt like I was saying this like throughout the offseason too, because this, I felt like everyone was there was so much pressure and hype for Russell Wilson coming into the system that it almost feels like they're trying to figure it out, but they can sense the pressure, obviously. But I think it's going to come together.
No, I saw enough last night to make me think, okay, this is going to take a minute.
It's like, they can show little flashes of goodness.
Hackett, as much hate as I've given you and as much as I think it's deserved through these first 3 weeks of the season, mega props for realizing that you needed to bring in additional help and bring in Jerry Rossberg, assistant head coach from the Ravens, formerly over there, to help with those like game time decisions, because they were mentioning yesterday, he can get back to what he wants to do, what he does best, and that's calling plays. I know it didn't look beautiful yesterday on that regard, but I just think it was so smart for him to be willing to get rid of that. And you don't always see that in like first year, early season head coaches, right? You see them dig in, double down and say, this is my system. We just need to like get it working. It just needs a couple more weeks. But he said, you know what? Okay, this is something that I need to address right now. And that gives me a little bit more optimism that he's going to be able to figure it out, right? Like that's an important quality. The humility.
That shows self-awareness.
Exactly.
Yeah, it shows self-awareness, which is very good on a coach, because your coach needs to be able to know where your strengths and weaknesses are, where everyone's strengths and weaknesses are on the team. And I feel like a lot of times, like you said, when you have these coaches who exhibit behavior that's more based off of just this is my way, and they're not really in tune with the players. Like that's why I gave so much credit to Dan Campbell. And like we were talking about this a bit like a month or so ago, Simon, during the whole Hard Knocks thing. And like, say what you want about Dan Campbell, it's hard to be that good of a leader. It's hard to inspire people in the way that he inspires people. And like, I feel like anyone who criticizes him, on what he's able to do in that regard, like, I hope they have those skills to back that up, because, or like they have experience in that realm, because it's tough and it's very impressive what he does. So I feel like that's more of an important quality than knowing clock management your first year, right? Like that's something you can learn.
Yeah, no. And when it comes to the Lions, Joe, like, say what you will about Dan Campbell, but I think he's overperformed with the rosters that he's had since he's been with the Lions. Like
it's like the Popovich of NFL.
Oh man, that's some high praise for a guy right there, Jale. You might get you don't say that too loud if you come visit me.
In like like getting a roster to overperform.
Walking
like not like fully. He is the Popovich of the NFL.
When you walk around San Antonio, I can't go on a walk from my house without seeing, no lie, more than one mural of Popovich. Like if I just take my dog for a walk, I see more than one larger than life mural of Popovich around this town.
I feel like if I was like, man, I don't like Popovich, like everyone in San Antonio would be like, oh,
I'm nervous with you even saying that with me on air
on the street.
Just like as long as you stop there and don't say anything about Tim Duncan and then I'm safe. Like here, truly, I moved here and people would still tell stories about Timmy, like just very casually. And like, I was like, who is Timmy? Like, and they're like, oh, Tim Duncan. Like they just talk about him like he's just like the friend down the street. Like, and everyone loves Tim Duncan here.
I love that.
And what does that have to do with Russell Wilson and the Broncos?
Nathaniel Hackett, self-awareness.
Exactly. Speaking of self-awareness, or maybe a lack of it, Jimmy Garoppolo stepped out of the back of the end zone for a safety last night, making this a very weird score for a little while of 7-5 in this game.
Hey, I didn't even check Scoregami.
So I was thinking about it, and then I was like, I'm not going to check because 11-10 is also just a touchdown with a 2-point conversion in a field goal to a touchdown and a field goal. So I bet it's happened before. But I was thinking about that last night. 7-5, they mentioned on the broadcast, has only ever happened one time before, but they didn't say anything about 11-10.
Did they reference Scoregami?
They did not reference Scoregami from what I heard.
It was no Scoregami. That score has happened one time before, most recently on November 16, 2008.
2008. One time. So close to a Scoregami.
But if it had finished 13-5, that would have been Scoregami.
Yeah. Dale, did you see Dan Orlovsky's tweet after Jimmy Garoppolo stepped out of bounds?
No.
Oh, Dan Orlovsky's kind of famous for that. Like whenever you think about stepping out of the back of the end zone for a safety, you think about Dan Orlovsky doing that. Like that's stick to his name. Every time it comes up, his name comes up first. And he tweeted all caps, "I've never been happier. Freedom!"
I did see that actually. Now that I think about it, that's hilarious.
So now there's someone else at least in camp with him. Like it's not just Dan alone in that regard.
I love that though, because we can all relate to that. You know, we can all relate to that time where like we're just getting dragged for one thing and over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden one of your friends does the same thing and you're like, yes, I have company.
You're the asshole who always spills his drink at Steak and Shake. Every time you go to Steak and Shake with your group of friends, you're the one who spills your drink.
And then Kyle spills this time. Then now Kyle's the idiot
asshole spilling your drink, and it's immediately 10 times funnier when the second guy does it.
Yeah, and then you immediately start piling on him. You're like, oh wow, what an idiot.
100%. 100%. Tim and you're saying he stepped out to save the pick six, big brain move. I don't even know if he knew he was doing that, but he did do that. Had he not stepped out of bounds, it would have been a pick six. So just what a weird situation where a safety was the better outcome for them in that, like it was a safety, but truly it was better for them than had it not been a safety.
Right.
God, that was awful to watch right there.
Well, I see Maria in the chat. Hello.
What's up, Maria? What's up? Also, I saw Tommy saying I fell asleep in quarter one, woke up with 5 minutes left. It was a great game for me. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, Tommy.
That's basically what happened to us too. But our eyes were open the whole time.
Most of the time. 99.9% of the time my eyes were open.
Simon, I was actually telling this story this weekend to someone about, we were talking about, you know, people who fall asleep. Like you talk to somebody and they're like falling asleep. And then you're like, yo, like, you want to go to bed? And they're like, no, I'm not asleep. And you know, like they just won't be convinced that they're asleep. No, and I was like, man, that is peak Simon.
No, I'm watching.
Simon will just sit there and be like, what? No, I'm asleep with his eyes closed the whole time while talking to me. No, I'm not asleep.
No, 100% I'll do that. I remember when Leanne and I were traveling to Mexico City, we had like a full day. Like we woke up at like 6 a.m. We went and saw the pyramids, climbed up them, and we went to the Frida Kahlo house. Like we went all over, had like 10 activities. And then we were like, you know what? Not enough activities. Tonight we're gonna go to the ballet. We're gonna go to the ballet in Mexico City, and it starts at like 8:30 p.m. after we've been up since 6 a.m. We're in there, and like about 3/4 of the way through, Leanne, it's the same thing. Like, Simon, like trying, and I'm like, no, I'm awake. No, I'm good. I'm good. Like we're sitting here in like the most beautiful place we've ever been. It's like a once in a lifetime experience, and I am out. I was so humiliated. I hate falling asleep. But JL, that was definitely the move.
I hate falling asleep.
It was like, no, I'm good. I'm awake. No, I'm watching.
What are you talking about?
I see them. They're dancing. And right before this, they were dancing too. See, I remember. We had a question in here from Sebastian Jail before we move on to our next game. He says, Debo and Waller for Aaron Jones, Mike Williams, and Ertz, full PPR. I currently have the Jones side, but I feel like I need to trade because I'm 0-3 and can't have Mike Williams and his inconsistency. So 0-3, you know what? That's not a bad idea to start looking at maybe some trades to make your team better. But I also want to say don't panic trade. I haven't thought about this one yet, but just want to say that 0-3 doesn't mean you need to trade, but it's a good idea that you're out there looking for them. Debo and Waller for Aaron Jones, Mike Williams, and Ertz. JL, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I fully agree with you, Simon. Don't panic. 0-3 is fine. It's 3 games of the season of 17 games. So you're only part of the way there. You don't need to panic or make decisions based off of just that. Debo and Waller, I like both of those guys a lot. Obviously, Debo is going to be utilized in this offense. I feel like he got a bump up with Jimmy G coming back in because it's a little more predictability. Yeah, we know what we're going to get. Hopefully, it's very similar to last year. Waller has been playing pretty decently until this week. That could be a matchup thing. Could just be, they didn't really need him against Tennessee. And Mike Williams, I feel like is a bit of a victim of this whole Justin Herbert situation and what's going on in that offense. And so I understand the inconsistency thing, but I wouldn't be as worried about that. I think that'll get better. I'm going to say on the Debo Waller side of this though. Man. PPR. I just like both of those guys a lot.
I just have a hard time believing, especially with Aaron Jones on the other side of this trade, that your starting lineup's going to look better after you make this move. Like who's your next?
It's going to depend on your team.
It's going to depend on your team, but who's your next running back up? And especially being 0-3, I kind of want to roll with Mike Williams. I feel like you need some of that volatility. Like, yeah, Mike Williams can lose you a week, but that dude can also come out there and win you a week, right? Like, he can drop 40 points. Not that Debo can't, but on this side, you've got the guy who can do it plus Aaron Jones still.
Right,
man. I think I'm staying put, Sebastian. I like what you got in those three players, but this is a close trade. That's a good one. Yeah, it's a good trade offer being sent your way. And he says I have Najee and James Robinson. So you know what? James Robinson's serviceable, not Aaron Jones. I would much rather start Aaron Jones week in, week out, but that makes it a little bit more doable to go on to the other side, to go the side that you were talking, JL, Debo and Waller.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's coming up. We're going to be talking some more about the games that happened yesterday. If you have questions for us, call in and let us know on the Better Sports Network app. Just make sure you have it downloaded, register, and then it's one button to call in. Come on up here with us. Tell us what you think about yesterday's games or ask us your fantasy questions. We're going to be talking some fantasy winners and losers, playing some match game a little bit later, and then previewing Monday Night Football. And we have a special guest, former defensive end for the Dolphins, Bears, and Texans, Wale Agunlia, joining us a little bit later on the show today as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on the Better Sports Network.
Corey, Nando, and friends, presented by Mayo Media on Better Sports Network. Oh, have to round this thing.
They made like an orange Notre Dame guy in the field. You know what I'm saying?
That's an old school throwback. That's a throwback logo.
I would take that off the field immediately. Like I was in charge of football operations for the Cleveland Browns. I'd be talking to the field staff. Like, hey, get this off the field right now, damn it. Get it out of here. That would be me right now if I was in charge of logistics, football operations for the Cleveland Browns. Like, hey, everybody, get over here. Everybody, get over here and get this thing off the field right now, damn it. That's what I'd be yelling at them like that, Nando.
How do you do that? Do you have to
yell at it?
I know. I mean, how do you get stuff off the field? Yeah, how does that? I got that. Oh, really? Oh, with
yeah. You come out there with a
megaphone
like Joe Clark. Yeah. every ass needs to get in line and get yourself off the field.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Tua will never have a better game for the rest of his life. Okay, so if there was ever a time to trade high on a guy, 42 points, 469 yards, 6 touchdowns, now is it. Okay, there are people with Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Mitch Trubisky, Jameis Winston. Like there's all kinds of people out there. Trey Lance. There's tons of teams that need a quarterback. I would strongly be considering trading him. I'm trying to remember we had him ranked at Fantasy Guru like for full season. I think we had him like 15th, 16th, something like that for the season. And a game like this could take him from 16th to 13th, just one game, right? I think he'll be very good. Is he going to be top 10? I'm not sold on that. If he is being viewed that way, and I think he likely is, if he's your second quarterback, as he almost certainly is, I'd be listening.
Josh rolling to his left, looks back, throws the other way to his right. It is caught in the end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo. Stephon Diggs.
I want to thank Stephon Diggs. Woo, get it done.
Josh will take another shotgun snap. Takes, looks downfield, fires downfield, looking for Diggs inside the 5. Dives for it, makes the catch, and it is caught. Touchdown, Buffalo.
I thought I was buried in a few leagues. and Stephon Diggs revived me.
Gonna throw it to Diggs. Bobbles makes the catch into the end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo. Stephon Diggs, the hat trick. His 3rd touchdown for the Bills.
This team is going to pass the ball. Josh Allen going for the MVP. The Bills on this Super Bowl run. So that guy was someone I wanted in the mid to late first round. Career year coming for him.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everyone. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. JL, we just answered a question about some Mike Williams in there, and you mentioned the Justin Herbert situation. So we should probably talk a little bit about this game, even though Chargers fans probably would rather us skip this one. The Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 38-10. 38-10. The Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 38-10. I feel like I have to say it that many times just to make sure anyone who maybe wasn't paying attention yesterday, wasn't watching the games, here's that. Like, preseason, you know, week 3, the Jaguars are playing the Chargers, right? Did you have this marked down as like, oh yeah, easy Jaguars win?
Yep. Yeah. It feels like the Jaguars are like a little kid who is like pretending to be an adult, and they're just like going around and like all the adults are just kind of like letting them win. That kind of feels like how it is. They've gotten a little bit lucky so far. I feel like they're going to be brought back down to earth, but man, Jacksonville's looked good so far. That defense has looked great.
It's looked great. And I see Craig in the chat with the Grimace Gang. What's up, Craig? Welcome in. He said that offense was not fully charged with Herbert hurt. No, with Herbert hurt, it was not very charged. But we'll get to that side of the ball. But you're right, Joe. We got to give some props to this Jacksonville side. They've looked great. What a difference a competent coach can make, right? Like, the difference between Doug Peterson and Urban Meyer is a little bit stark right here. Like, I know they made some roster improvements, right? But not enough to be the difference between the product we're seeing on the field this year and the product we saw on the field last year. Like, I think this is really highlighting maybe how poor of a shake Trevor Lawrence got last season.
Yeah. I was saying it all off season is like, you know, you expect this rookie, this kid to come into the NFL and essentially run a team successfully. Like, he's coming into a system that just was not set up for his success with an incompetent guy running the team, the organization. You can't put that on Trevor Lawrence. You know, imagine yourself going into a new job and your boss is like sabotaging you, like terrible boss.
Kicking your coworkers.
You're kicking your coworkers, and then you know, people externally are like, wow, well, you got fired, so I don't know. Or like, you know, you're not doing well, so this is all your fault.
Can we refer to Urban Meyer exclusively as an incompetent guy for the rest of this?
An incompetent guy, yeah. Just an incompetent guy.
Just an incompetent guy coming in there. But Trevor looked good yesterday. 28 for 39, 262 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns for Trevor Lawrence. This was
25.18 point fantasy points in the half PPR. Well, it doesn't matter half PPR, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. And JL, yesterday morning on our pre-gaming with Front Yard Fantasy show that's on from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., leading right into kickoff. We were in there. People were asking us some questions, and we had Matt Deutsch, Better Boss, come in the chat and say, give us one word to describe me having to start Zay and Marvin Jones on the same lineup. And you said serendipitous, if I remember correctly, right?
You are correct. Yes, I did say serendipitous.
I wonder when the last time Zay and Marvin Jones scored a touchdown on the same day was, let alone never on the same team in the same game. Just unbelievable that you said that. And then when Marvin Jones, like Zay Jones caught one, I was like, oh, cool. JL like at least was like positive and got one right. And then I get the notification like Marvin Jones catches one. I look up at the TV and I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
They did it.
Zay Jones got 19.5 fantasy points, half PPR. Marvin Jones, 11.3, half PPR. 4 receptions on 7 targets, 33 yards and a touchdown for Marvin Jones. Zay Jones got 85 yards on 10 receptions. Wow, my brain just broke there. 10 receptions on 11 targets and a touchdown. He got 19.5 points. That's pretty good for Zay Jones. What I would say is, you'd say maybe it's serendipitous.
A bit of a serendipitous performance over there.
Serendipitous.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit serendipitous. But this Jaguars offense is,
mean, Simon?
a serendipitous means like happening by chance with a positive outcome. Know what I mean? Like things kind of come together for a positive outcome is what serendipitous is, or things have come together.
See?
At least that's what I'm saying. I have not yet Googled it. Let's find out. Well, I remember one time on stream with you and Josh, I used some adjective as an intro, and then I looked it up and it was very insulting. Like just really insulting, the adjective I had used. It meant like boring and out of touch or something like that. But it sounded like such a good word.
That's hilarious.
Can't remember what it was. Evan Ingram. I see people in there asking about it. Tommy asking about Evan Ingram. It wasn't a great fantasy day for Evan Ingram, but he's still getting used in a high value way in that offense. We saw him. He had a touchdown that ended up not being a touchdown that would have changed the way we thought about this game. You can still keep throwing Evan Ingram out there. What do you think, JL?
Yeah, he's part of those late round tight end guys that you could absolutely work into the rotation. And I do expect this offense to be a little bit better fantasy wise than they have been the first 2 weeks. Now this week we started to see some good fantasy production here. And I think that will continue. Even if the Jaguars don't continue winning at the same rate that they are.
The Jaguars have won back-to-back games by 20 points for the first time since 2000, JL. That was tweeted out by Field Yates.
Wow.
Since 2000, 24-0 against the Colts last week, 38-10 against the Chargers this week. Wow, just absolutely crazy. But on the Chargers side of the ball, Justin Herbert, we mentioned it. He has the injury where it sounds like he had broken cartilage between his rib and his sternum right there. They injected him before the game, tried to get him out there. And Jay, I've had that injury and I was out. This was in high school. So again, like when your body should be the most ready to like just play through injury, right? Like I'm 17 years old and I was out for 4 months, like just completely
no doubt.
In an unreal pain. Every time you breathe, every time you laugh, every time you like, it hurts. I cannot believe that he was out there taking the hits that he was taking, even with some sort of pain injection shot. Like that is a very painful injury and one that you kind of just have to let heal. Like there's not much you can't, like, you're not going to like wrap your body in a cast around here. It just has to heal. It just takes time.
Yeah. They're your ribs and your back. I feel like those two, it's like, man, so much more painful or debilitating as soon as you get that injury.
Yeah, no, it makes everything more painful. Also, we're getting some fact checking in here, JL. Last year, Zay Jones and Marvin Jones scored a TD in the same week, but it wasn't on the same day. It was on September 12th and September 13th, and not on the same team from the same Trevor. It was different Trevors.
Different Trevor.
A Trevor by a different name, some may even say, at least to one of them.
Trevor Noah
throwing the touchdown pass to Zay Jones.
Who would have thought?
Man, he's just everywhere, isn't he? Really stepping up, doing great stuff. Also, Craig said Simon doesn't have Wolverine healing. I find this hard to believe. No, I do not. Sometimes I behave like I do. Sometimes when doing competitive sports, I take risks as if I do have Wolverine healing. And
like
then
that time that we did the foot race and you almost face planted in front of Matthew Barry.
Here's my competitive nature outperforms my athletic ability 100% of the time. You know what I mean? Like my desire to win is way higher than my ability to win. And it leads to, that's the perfect recipe for injury. Like I remember my very first rec league soccer game at my old job, jail. We go out there with all these nerds and I go hard. And how this game went is I sprinted for 15 minutes and then I vomited for 15 minutes. And that was like the first exercise I'd had in like 3 years. But I just can't help it.
But you went for it. Yeah, you got to.
That's what me and Justin Herbert have in common. Know what I mean? You just got to go.
You both are winners.
We're both just winners over here, me and Justin Herbert. We're both just winners who lose 38-10 sometimes. Like it just happens every once in a while. It
happens to the Jaguars.
Now, outside of that, I'm really not trying to take too much away from any of the other receiving options in this game because of the Justin Herbert injury. I know it was disappointing for some people, but it's going to come with the territory, right? This is a bad game for Mike Williams, but you're not going to bench him because of it, right, JL?
No, you got to wait and see. You got to wait and see how this injury develops. It's likely something that he just, we saw this last year a bunch too. Tua dealt with a pretty severe, was it, fractured ribs? Or I don't think it was a break. It was a full break. But he was dealing with a ribs injury last year as well. And that was, it's hard to play football while you can't really move at your full motion. So, yeah, I think it could absolutely limit this offense. It just depends how severe it is. And that we don't have a ton of insight into.
Well, he said it's hard to play football, and then you pause. And it made me think of a thought I had last night while watching the game. I was sitting back there watching, and I feel like I used to think, man, it'd be great to be an NFL player. But I just watched them get hit, and I just kept thinking ow, ooh, oh hurt. Yeah, I don't want that job. That sounds like a painful job.
A job where it's just normalized that you can just completely bend your leg the wrong way is not for me.
Yeah,
not for me.
I think I've matured because I used to be yeah, that would be the dream to be a linebacker, that's heaven. But I was watching those guys on the defensive and offensive line, and I'm just sitting there and I'm they're just out there, and every play they're getting disrespected. They're having fingers shoved in their eyes and jerseys grabbed and asses squeezed and whatever someone can get a hold of, they're just it's no, thank you. Not for me. I'm out. I'll just watch from my bed. That's much nicer.
Yeah, I like how I like the route that we chose, which is sitting at our desks, just talking about these guys putting their bodies on the line.
Respect. You know what? I just want them to know respect. I'm not sitting here on the couch thinking I can do that. I'm sitting here on the couch thinking, thank God I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And I just get to watch the end result of that one. Jel, one last thing on the Chargers before we move on. They're having serious problems with their rushing game. It just has not been able to get going for them. Yesterday, again, another bad day on the ground, only 26 rushing yards total. Now they were in a hole the entire game, right? The Jaguars got out ahead of them and they were playing from behind. But man, if they can't get this running game going, it's going to be not the season you thought for Austin Eckler. What's your concern level for Austin Eckler?
It's decently high. Right coming into the season, the coaching staff there was talking about. Rosie was thought she got hooked on one of my cords and was about to just pull all of my stuff down. They're talking about coming into the season how they were likely going to limit his carries because they're bringing people in to help carry some of that load. And Austin Eckler himself said, "Listen, I'm not worried. I know this is how you stay in this league longer." And so this is better for my team and this is better for me in the long run. I'm not worried about it. And so we might see that a little bit more if he's thinking that way and the coaching staff is thinking that way, then, we're probably not going to get the same usage out of Austin Eckler that we've seen in the past, which has always been his big thing. Austin Eckler has not always been hyped in fantasy. And a lot of his hype, I think, came on the back of that opportunity they gave him in Los Angeles and the fact that he capitalized on it. He's good. He's a very good running back.
Yeah, no, Austin Eckler is an incredible running back. I think this offense just has some things they need to figure out. They got to get the running game going.
He's 26, so I think that if I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes, if I'm thinking about Austin Eckler as a football player, this is probably what I would do as well, right? As he's getting older, you try and preserve that big play ability that you want to make sure that he's able to be ready to go later on in the season. The Chargers are going for the Super Bowl this year. They're not messing around. They're going for it, and they should because they can. And so I think we might see Austin Eckler get utilized a little bit later when the season starts. The stakes start getting raised a little bit. But yeah, I am a little concerned for sure.
Now that's if you're thinking about Austin Eckler as a running back. What if you were thinking about him as a bull rider?
Then in that case, wheels up. Let's go.
Wheels up. Let's go. Yeah, I think he's in a good position as a bull rider, but we'll see if he makes that position switch at any point throughout this season. JL, I think this is the game everyone's been waiting for, and the moment in this game that we are probably going to have to talk about for at least the next 15 minutes. The Miami Dolphins took down the Buffalo Bills 21-19, and we got to talk about it. The play of the game, the butt punt.
The butt punt.
Punted straight into Trent Sherfield's abyss between his legs is where that
booty
football
patootie.
It was straight up there. It could not have been aimed better up that tuchus. Like, he just went for it. Like, you look at the picture, shout out USA Today photographer that caught that image, because wow, moment of impact. And you can really see just how well aimed between the cheeks that ball was.
Oh yeah, right.
And Craig said, did y'all see Mark Sanchez's tweet to the punter? I did. Mark Sanchez tweets, stay out of my lane, bro, in regards to that.
That's pretty good.
I love all these self-aware tweets yesterday. Mark Sanchez, Orlovsky, like, they're just coming in and like poking fun at themselves.
Yeah.
That's pretty good stuff right there.
That's awesome.
No, for real. That probably hurt. But that was just one moment on the way to a Dolphins victory, 21-19 in this one. JL, the Dolphins now are leading in the AFC East over the Bills.
That's true.
Dolphins are in the lead.
They are.
They the team to beat over there? We talked about this a little bit yesterday night, but do you think the Dolphins are the team to beat in the AFC East, or is this still the Bills division and the Dolphins have a way to go to take that title from them?
I think it's still the Bills division. The Dolphins are a team to beat for sure, and I think that they're gonna be a headache for a lot of these AFC teams. I think they're gonna be a headache for Buffalo. They fought for this win. This was not an easy win for the Dolphins, and the Bills were missing a lot of their defense. Most of their starting secondary, 2 interior defensive linemen, their starters, they were not able to bring the same pressure to Tua that he would have seen if they were there. And that Miami offensive line is one of their bigger weak points. So I think that they'll have a harder time later in the season, but Miami's been looking great. And I think that exactly what you and I were thinking, like predicting this offseason, Simon, has come to fruition, which is the pieces are finally coming together, right? For Tua, if I was saying this a ton last year, is like, it felt like all these things just kind of kept going wrong for Tua. He kept getting injured, another injury, a situation like he didn't have any pass catching weapons in the offense. He wasn't being surrounded by pieces to be able to succeed. And it felt like, okay, well, if all these, like, if things can just kind of click a little bit and he can just avoid, one of these big, bad things, then like it's gonna work. It's gonna take off. And so I'm hoping that's what we're seeing here, right? That's what I feel like we're seeing. Just they passed the eye test, they look good, and I think they're gonna be great. I think they're gonna be a fun team to watch this year.
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching the Dolphins so far this year. And you're right. It was a hard-fought win. The Bills had defensive pieces out, but you can only play the team that's put in front of you. The Dolphins did that, and they came out with a victory. And it was just as exciting as promised, right, in this game, right? We got a little bit of it all. Now, the one thing I did want to bring up is Tua did leave the game for a little bit there. Got rattled up, and I don't know about you, JL, but whenever he stood back up, that was a terrifying moment. Like, he was wobbling. His linemen were holding him up. I know they are already reviewing how the Bills handled this or the Dolphins handled this concussion protocol, right, to get him back on the field. But I am going to be shocked if something doesn't come out about this afterwards. Like, he looked messed up. He looked concussed in that moment, and there's no way that just goes away in time to come back and finish this game.
Yeah. I'm going to be interested to see what comes out of that as well. That was definitely scary, and I thought that it was the same. Like what I was just saying is that we were worried about all these things kind of going wrong for Tua, and my heart just sank when that happened. Of like, no, not again. Like, it was just starting to happen. Yeah,
I had the same exact feeling. But then whenever they brought him back out, I was like, no, not again. Just leave him on the sideline. Like don't put him in here to play this game. They got the W. I guess that's what they were going for. But hopefully Tua's all right in that one. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill continue a little bit of their dominance. Tyreek Hill not with the biggest game here, but Jalen Waddle had another 100 receiving yard game, 6 targets, 4 receptions, 102 yards, JL. Who's the dude in this offense? You get to have one. Jalen Hill, Tyreek Waddle. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Which one are you taking?
You said Jalen Hill, and I immediately just started panicking, like, oh no, who is that? Who the heck is that? Like, I'm going to embarrass myself. But between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, man. Yesterday, you asked me this question, and I gave the answer of Jalen Waddle, and I think I'm going to stick with that. In PPR and half PPR formats. In standard, I would go Tyreek Hill, though.
Yeah. I think I'm with you, JL. Same answer I gave yesterday. We've got Jalen Waddle as the guy that I think we're just going to get more consistency out of, and you're not sacrificing that much upside for him either.
I was gonna say, I love what Tim said. He said it's amazing that the coaching staff is actually letting us try to win this season. He said that the Waddle and Hill pair is just fun, and that's what I love about this Dolphins team. Like, it's just fun. I feel like that is one of the most important things for NFL teams. Just playing a game.
They're like the opposite of watching the Bears this season is watching the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Like watching the Bears is like ripping your teeth out. And then watching the Dolphins is like your teeth turn to confetti and you're happy about it.
Cotton candy teeth.
Your teeth start pop. Every tooth is a glitter bomb, just like exploding in your room. One by one. This is weird but fun. Yeah, watching the Dolphins beat the Bills on Sunday at 1 p.m. That is definitely weird but fun. Something
not your
enjoyed.
Teeth individually exploding into glitter bombs.
No, we love that. Jill, on the Bills side of the ball over here, Stephon Diggs continuing his target dominance, 11 targets, 7 receptions, 74 yards. He's got a real shot to finish as the wide receiver 1 overall this season, I think. He's one of a few players that can do it, but with the target volume in that offense, he's up there, right? You got to talk about him when you talk the Cooper Kupps, the Justin Jeffersons.
I said the same exact sentence last week, and you and Coop dragged the hell out of me. Like, oh, Stephon Diggs could finish as the wide receiver 1? No way. What a hot take, JL.
I think it was a hot take segment, JL, and that's why we roasted the hell out of you. Like, just like completely ignoring the context.
That's not true. That's not how that happened.
Yeah, like I didn't propose this as a hot take right here. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. I mean, you're right. Yeah, we should have roasted you over there.
Thank you.
But Devin Singletary seeing 11 targets in this game as well. He is probably someone that is startable rest of season. Are you comfortable starting Devin Singletary in your lineups, JL?
I am. He's the clear number 1 on that team to me. When he's there, they're giving him the ball the most. They're going to rotate around, and the Bills are going to pass a lot. That's what they do. And so Devin Singletary to me is exactly what we thought this year.
Exactly what we thought this year. Guys, I think we have a Bills fan who wants to come up and maybe give a little bit of a defense of the Buffalo Bills in this loss to the Miami Dolphins yesterday. And I saw our friend Dustin yesterday chirping back and forth a little bit with Tim on Twitter. Dustin, welcome in. Happy post Bills game Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday, guys. Listen, Tim, I'm sorry I gave you so much crap on Twitter. The Dolphins won. I will give them that. But regardless of the fact that the Bills were missing most of their defensive starters and a couple offensive line starters, it's not like the Dolphins dominated that game, right?
It's
the
a
Bills
hard
had a good shot of winning that game. Dolphins, they got the one touchdown on that fumble where they had the ball on like the 6-yard line. But 4 out of 6 of their drives, when they started in normal starting territory, they punted the ball. Like, they only scored 2 touchdowns really on the Bills. Like, where they actually had to drive down the field. So it's not like the Dolphins are dominated. So I don't want to crown the Dolphins as the greatest team in the AFC right now when they weren't dominating the Bills. Like, at the end of the day, give the Bills all their players, Bills dominate them. Like, it was still a 19-21 game. So, yes, the Dolphins got the W. Yes, I was talking trash to Tim and even Alfredo all week. That's what we do. All love. I loved him. Great guy. Shame he's a Dolphins fan. But they're going to play again this year. And at the end of the day, Bills are still going to be one of the top teams, if not the top team in the AFC this year. And it was, yes, a good win for the Dolphins. They got the W, but they didn't deserve the W. I think the Bills lost that game more than the Bills lost it.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right. I was with you up until this point, Dustin. They still deserve the W. They got the W. You can't take that one away from them.
You can't go 4 out of 6 drives punting the ball and say you deserve the W.
Who got the win?
They got the win. Yeah, you got the win. Doesn't mean you deserve the win.
What?
Here's where I stand on this, Dustin, because I hear you. And I'm on your side with most of it, but I find myself a little bit more neutral. The Bills' defense was just obliterated. It was a second-string defense, but the Dolphins played with a concussed quarterback for half the game. like really concussed. So I'm calling it a wash. Like that dude looked real. Like I'm gonna be shocked if he doesn't miss next week. Like with how concussed he looked.
Well, we can't put that to a soft and he falls and bumps his head and gets a concussion. Like it's not like he got hit hard. I mean, I've seen quarterbacks get.
Bills fans are like, I've been smashing my head through a table every week for 10 years.
He like barely got touched by a Bills player, fell down flailing like he was a soccer player, bumped his head like Humpty Dumpty, and all of a sudden he's got a concussion. Okay, cool, keep him out of the game.
And half the Bills defense somehow must have bumped their heads before the game.
I mean, the Bills are just racked with injuries right now, which I'll take them now than later in the season. I mean, listen, they got the W. Dolphins got the W. They're 3-0 right now. Dolphins fan, ride it while you can because I don't think it's going to last for you. I'm just saying the Bills held their team in check. They held Tyreek Hill to 33 yards. Jalen Waddle had 102. No touchdown for either of them, by the way. Tua only passed the ball 18 times. Was lighting them up. It's not. That's what I'm saying. The Dolphins weren't lighting up the Bills at all. He was concussed, but he wasn't doing amazing before he got concussed, so you can't blame the whole game on a concussion.
No, it was this Bills defense is top tier.
Different story. They didn't dominate the Bills, and everyone's saying that the Dolphins are the greatest team. They dominated. They beat the Bills. They didn't dominate the Bills.
I'm with you on that.
They punted the ball.
I think JL yesterday in a text between Tim and I said it perfectly. Do you mind if I quote your text, JL?
Please.
It was something like this feels like when you fight the final boss for the first time in a video game and they're not quite at their full strength. And then like you beat them, you go through, they flee, and then you come back later in the game at the very end and the boss is at full power and you have to take down the final boss like at the end of the game at full strength. And you know what? Maybe it's a long season.
Maybe they do.
Right? The Dolphins still have a new head coach. Maybe they get better as the season goes on as well. But I'm hoping to see a fully healthy Bills defense against a fully healthy Dolphins team later in this season. Because
go ahead, Sam.
I was just going to say, I agree with you. If you made me ask, or if you made me answer who's going to win this next matchup, I'm going to say the Bills. Like if I had to bet who's the better team, I'm going to say the Bills. But the Dolphins are a good team. And they've got a chance.
The beauty of football is variance, right? That's what makes this game so fun. Is it isn't just about which team is better. The Bills, to me, are a definitive better team than the Dolphins. When you look at it from just a football perspective, a personnel perspective, a strength perspective, the Bills are more complete. They're a better team. Doesn't mean that they're going to win every game. It doesn't mean that they're going to win later on when they have their defense back, because that's the fun part about the game.
But they might. They
really
might.
It's likely. Yeah.
They're not going to move their defense back. I'm just sitting there going like, I don't know who's going to beat them. Like,
yeah.
We'll see what happens. December, I believe it's December. Let's see. December 18th.
Pretending like he doesn't have it already circled on his.
Yeah.
He's like December. What
it's
was
not written on his monitor now.
It was December.
It's in Buffalo. December in Buffalo is going to be a cold game, and I don't know if Miami's going to be able to hold up to that cold. Just like we struggled in the heat in Miami, the cold in Buffalo in December is going to be something for the Dolphins to deal with.
I was having this debate with my girlfriend the other day. Which is worse, being a cold weather team coming down into hot weather, or being a hot weather team going up into cold weather?
That's such a good hypothetically prompt.
You can somewhat plan for hot. So like the Packers did it where they cranked the heat in the practice facility when they're indoor. Like you can somewhat acclimate to that. And then you have people that are from Florida, right, that play for northern teams that went to college down there, are kind of used to growing up. You don't get a lot of northern players who are like, yeah, I'm used to growing up in the cold and I love it. Like that's a different mindset. When it's 80, 90, 100 degrees, that's all the same. When it gets to like 32 and then it gets to 0, it's a whole nother level of cold and everything just hurts. Like your eyeballs hurt. It's so much more painful to be in the cold. I live in Wisconsin. Believe me, it gets some days where it's -50 with the wind chills here. Everything just hurts. And it's just not fun at all.
I had no idea. Like I grew up in Georgia, right? I went to college very far north in Clemson, South Carolina. I went a little bit further north, and now I live in San Antonio, Texas. Okay. So like, sure, I've seen snow, but I haven't really experienced true cold. I was in like the mountains in Colorado, in Grand Lake, Colorado last January. And this was my first experience, like where I checked the weather and it said -10. And like, I had no frame of reference for like what -10 felt like, but I'm going to bed. It's a little warm in the cabin. So I'm like, I'll just open the window. Like I'll open the window. It's cold out there. It'll cool me down a little bit. I woke up covered in snow. Like it snowed through the window, and it was so cold that even with like a fire roaring in that cabin, I couldn't warm up for 2 days. I couldn't throw a football, let alone like go pee. Like I swear it was frozen inside of me.
My first winter in Wisconsin, it was going to be one of those negative, 20, 30 degree days. And my wife is nailing blankets over the windows. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she said, any sort of draft. And we didn't do it on one. And just this little bit of a draft was like this piercing arrow of cold that hits you every time you walk by. So that's what we did in our old house because we had real bad windows. We would nail blankets over the windows to stop any sort of draft because when it gets that cold, it's just a piercing cold arrow that just hurts.
Tim said people don't get injured to cold stroke.
No, they just get frostbite. It's okay.
Dustin, while we have you up here, I did want to ask you about one player that I know you were hyping up all offseason. We haven't gotten to this game yet. You sent me an article you wrote on him, and he had himself a hell of a game. Mr. Khalil Herbert showing up for fantasy managers so far. And we had a question in here about Khalil Herbert that I wanted to ask. Someone has Kamara, and they have Khalil Herbert on their bench. They're very concerned about starting Kamara. Do you trust, you've been a little bit higher on him. You kind of predicted this season from Khalil Herbert. Is it at that point where you would put him in your lineup over Kamara and not quite at that point?
Oh, that's a tough one. Let me see Kamara's usage yesterday. I mean, Kamara had 15 carries, 61 yards, and still had 7 targets, so probably not. But you have to be excited with Herbert as an option there. I think Kamara's still dealing with injuries, so you can monitor that week to week. But I'm still going to start Kamara. I think the talent is, I don't want to say equal because I don't think Herbert's that level. As a pure rusher, Herbert's better, but Kamara gets that passing work. Obviously, the Bears aren't passing the ball whatsoever this season, right? So it's going to be the Herbert show. He had a great game. That defense couldn't stop the run. They had like 200 yards rushing before halftime, the Bears did this week. So I wouldn't start Herbert over Kamara yet, but when Kamara goes down again, because he's going to, because that's just Alvin Kamara at this point in his career, fire up your Herbert. You got to be really happy with him, especially where you drafted him. He was being drafted late. I mean, I don't even know, probably 11th, 12th round in most leagues, if not later. He was a great pickup, and that's why I was on him all offseason. That's why I wrote that article. Like, the skill was there, and Bears front office was doing by getting rid of some of their younger players or some of their older players, going towards the young. Montgomery's still there. Last year of his contract, you just looked like eventually they were going to move to Herbert. I'm not going to say Montgomery lost his job this week, but he lost the bulk of it this week. Like, he's not going to be the 70% carry guy he was. He might be in the smaller half of that timeshare now. I mean, Herbert looked good. Ebner looked good. Like, there's just no reason for the Bears to trot out Montgomery anymore when Herbert has looked better every week. So I still think you fire up your Camaras right now and then go from there. And then I think you have Herbert as a great option. I'd be real interested to see what their running back 2 looks like, because I think that's the option where you could probably slot Kamara in or slot Herbert in and have Kamara bunch would be amazing.
Yeah, unless they're like me and have a 0-6 team in a league that does one against the medium where you started Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara. That could be the situation they're staring at. Yeah, maybe they're a little bit bitter like I am. But Dustin, thank you so much for calling in, my man. And we got the date marked December 18th on the calendar. Bills versus Dolphins, Dustin versus Tim. Versus whatever a bill says. I don't know what that is. Dustin, thank you so much, my man. Have a great rest of your Monday.
All right, thanks, guys. Happy Monday.
Appreciate you, Dustin.
We're going to keep breaking down some more of these games for you throughout the day, and we're going to play a little bit of match game later, as well as breaking down that Monday night football game. And former NFL player Wale Agunlia is going to join us a little bit later today on the show as well. So make sure you're sticking around. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
I got to tell this story, okay? So we're out in Canton, Ohio, and we decide to go eat late at night, like after midnight. We decide to go to the Waffle House. Somehow, Fensty's never been there, even though he lives near it. I'm in New York, New Jersey. There's no Waffle House close by. So if you go to the Waffle House, what are you going to eat more than likely? Pancakes, waffles, eggs, and all that, right? So, of course, our guy Rich, he gets breakfast. I get breakfast. Fensty doesn't. He's never been to a Waffle House. How do you not have waffles? Like, it makes no sense.
Dude, there's a time for waffles.
I eat breakfast at midnight. Come on, man.
That's the thing. I didn't want breakfast, man. I got what was it, like a cheesesteak sandwich or something like that?
That's like someone who has never been to IHOP going there and ordering a burger. Who does that?
That I wouldn't do. That I would not.
That's the equivalent of what you did. Well, I don't even know what you had.
I got this steak sandwich, which was
steak sandwich at the Waffle House. Never been there, and that's what you get. You're an odd guy, man.
I'm not an odd guy.
Yes, you are. Can we get a vote? Can we get a vote in the chat, please? I mean, if you've never been to Waffle House and you get a steak wrap, something's wrong with you, right? Don't you have to get waffles and eggs and bacon and all that? It's the Waffle House.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It was my first time, okay? Ordering the hash browns was already complicated enough. Smothered and covered, and it's almost like it's crazy how much combinations you can have. And I know that everybody's killing me for it right now. And no, to our producers, I don't get pasta at a steakhouse or anything like that.
No, Alfredo, that's what he gets at the steakhouse.
Do you follow me on Instagram? I'm always on that grill. You know how much I love steak. Why would I go to a steakhouse and get pasta?
Because you go to Waffle House to get steak wraps. That's why.
I didn't know it was all waffles, bro. I thought it had like a little bit of everything. That's why. You know, I didn't realize they were famous for waffles. Hey, look.
You know, the name of the place is the Waffle House. What else would they be famous for?
You know what? That's fine. I guess it's a hot take getting a steak sandwich. As long as it was good, I housed that thing in 10 seconds.
Okay, you were never there, and that's the first time. You're not going to try a waffle? Do you admit it was a mistake?
I don't really like waffles.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Muted Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Welcome to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show.
Joe, I'm trying to get a little bit sneakier with how I alert you. Just trying to like sneak you in there whenever I notice you're not talking over there. We had a question in here, JL, before we move on to our next game. JXC wanted to know, how do y'all feel about Pierce? So, JL, how do y'all feel about Pierce?
How do y'all feel about the Pierce? I feel good about Damien Pierce. I think that shout out to Joey yesterday on the pregame with FYF show, our show right before the games, 11-1 on Sundays. He had brought up Damien Pierce as a someone who's going to pop off this week. Now he's going against Chicago, so I think you have to take this performance with a grain of salt. But 20 attempts, 80 yards, and a touchdown is solid. And additionally, he had 2 receptions on 2 targets for 21 yards, which, is a little bit. It's not much to add, but I don't think Damien Pierce is going to be the type of guy that's going to probably win your league. I don't think he has that upside on this offense, but if he can put together weeks like this, he might be able to return some of that draft cost you paid for him.
Yeah, I think he's a solid RB2 rest of the year. And that's probably what the starting running back in this Houston Texans offense is. Like, that's best case scenario, right? Like, maybe you get some RB1 weeks out of him, but it seems like he's taken over as the lead back. Like what we saw week 1, they were just messing with you, putting Sexy Rexy out there as the lead back. Sexy Rexy's back into a supportive role, and it looks like Damien Pierce is going to be the main guy throughout the year. So fire him up with at least relative confidence, but maybe don't have crazy expectations for what he's going to put out there. Yeah. This isn't your league-winning running back, but this is a guy who can provide solid value for wherever you drafted him, depending on the time of year you drafted him.
Kind of like it almost reminds me of, and maybe I'm just misremembering, but Philip Lindsay comes to mind when I think of Damien Pierce. Of remember his rookie year, remember that?
Which, you know what, depending on where you get a player like that, can be league winning. So maybe I take that. Now
Philip Lindsay was mostly free. Like you got him off the waiver. Damien Pierce, with all the hype, you probably paid up much more, but.
Yeah, I get it from a production standpoint, though. Similar thing for sure on that one. JL, the next game I wanted to talk to you about, the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, winning 14-12 over the Buccaneers in this one. And it was another not great game for Tom Brady in this one. But to be fair, he was missing Chris Godwin. He was missing Mike Evans. He was missing Julio Jones. Russell Gage had 13 targets in this game. And then you look at the rest of the players, it was 6 for Cameron Brate, 4 for Rashad Perryman. Jalen Darden got one. Cole Beasley, after just being added to the team this week with 4 targets. Scotty Miller with 5. He was really struggling with those receiving options there, but it hasn't been smooth sailing for Brady yet this season. Do you expect this Buccaneers team to get it together? Is this just early season trying to figure out what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they're trying to figure out what's going on. I think they're dealing with a lot of injuries. Right, they're dealing with a lot of injuries. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. Tom Brady we know what he is. We know what he can do. I don't think this is really a Tom Brady thing. He threw for 42. He threw 42 passes yesterday, which is exactly what you want out of Tom Brady. I think it's just a matter of it needs to start clicking, right? They need to have their pass catching weapons back to get that more explosive offense. And I think that's going to open the field up and let Leonard Fournette be able to do more. I think they're able to pretty much stack the box and stop, or at least limit Fournette because there wasn't as much of a threat in the passing game. Yeah, and this O-line isn't what it was last year either. It's looking a little bit rougher for Tom Brady back there, and I know he feels it as well. It hasn't looked great for him so far, but you have to imagine this was his game with the most yards so far this season with 271. His previous 2 performances, 190 and 212. You have to imagine there's better games ahead for Tom Brady. That's kind of crazy. Once you laid out the yardage, that is pretty low.
That's nuts, right? It's not just one game now. That's a bad start for Tom Brady. That's a bad start for most quarterbacks. And then we're looking at arguably the greatest of all time, right? There's Super Bowl expectations for this team.
Now, Russell Gage, he had a great game. 12 receptions on 13 targets, 87 yards and a touchdown. Did fumble once. Simon, are you interested in Russell Gage? Is this something that you think is this like a benefit by injury type of situation, or do you think he can keep it up?
What a great game by Russell Gage. And I have absolutely zero interest in continuing to start him in fantasy unless all of these players are also injured, right? If there's another week with no Mike Evans, no Julio Jones, no Chris Godwin, then yeah, by all means, fire up your Russell Gages and feel pretty good about it. But I just don't when those guys come back, he's at best 4th on the pecking order. He's not better than any of those other 3 wide receivers. So maybe 2 of them come back. He's 3rd on the pecking order. You believe in Tom Brady bouncing back, this offense being prolific. And then yeah, you can start him in your flex, but nah, I'm out. Nah.
Yeah,
great game.
Godwin, Julio Jones both only played 1 game in week 1, Yeah, I agree with you, Simon. Once they come back, it's going to be a lot harder to wrestle away some opportunities there.
Yeah, it's just hard to gauge how many targets he'll be able to wrestle away from these other guys.
Greg
once they're
just
back.
Launched into orbit.
The first one fired up the engines, and then when I threw Russell in there as well, it just catapulted him out of the atmosphere. It's like, oh, here we go.
Just like the butt bump picture.
Somebody has to do that. Do you remember the old meme where it would just be like, and it's floating through space? Someone needs to do that where the punt kicks off, then it just launches him in that position through space. Someone make that. What was that song?
I don't know. I thought you were talking about the one where the kid's dancing, then he's at the end.
No, it's the one where somebody falls, but then they just play that song and have them falling through space as that playful, upbeat electronic song plays.
I love that.
Fantasy Dog, you saying, did y'all see Brady's breakaway run? Incredible. Yeah, he looked like a real Mac Jones out there.
A real Mac Jones. We saw some vintage Mac Jones out of Tom Brady yesterday.
We saw some vintage Mac Jones out of Tom Brady. The most important thing about this game that I feel like we need to talk about, maybe it's the last time Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady played, but the bees on the goalpost in the end zone, absolute insanity. Truly.
Nope.
I would not be on that field. No
what is wrong with you?
Way.
Why are you doing that?
Putting bees on the goalpost or me?
Well, I wouldn't be on that field.
Oh, I did not mean to do that. Buzz off, JF.
Maybe I just heard it. I liked it.
Joe, I'm just winging it here, trying to talk about these games.
I thought you were doing a whole bit. I was just wow, this is really are you planning this? Do you have this written down? No, that was terrifying, Simon. I have a fear of bees. I would have immediately ran out of that stadium. There's not a chance in the world I would keep playing.
No, there's literally like I hate running and I will run 6 miles to get away from a single bee. Like I truly cannot be near them. And that was like my worst fear, my worst nightmare. I would like just address it. Why? Like you can't play football with those bees on the field. What if somebody's allergic? Okay, we can move on from I'm just going to get irrationally angry thinking about the bees on that goalpost.
There, you don't belong there.
You don't belong there.
Maria said the accusatory, why are you doing this? And now in hindsight, I like that's a funny way to respond to that. I don't know why I said it that way.
I immediately thought you were coming for me. Like I immediately
my brain just had the question and it didn't really think about how to word it. It was just like, why are you doing this?
No, bad.
What
happened? Stop it. Also in this game, Aaron Rodgers says that he saw something on the Buccaneers Jumbotron that helped the Packers win via Pro Football Talk. After the game, Fox sideline reporter Tom Rinaldi asked Rodgers why he was talking to head coach Matt LaFleur as the Packers defense was on the field before the Buccaneers attempted a game-tying 2-point conversion. Rodgers was pretty cryptic, not that he's ever straightforward, and hinted that he saw something on the stadium screen that let him know what play the Bucs were going to run. He said they showed it on the previous play too. It was a delay on both plays, but sometimes you see things in the game. Sometimes the Jumbotron shows things they probably shouldn't show, even at home. I saw something. I just passed on the information.
What does that mean?
He saw it, JL. He just saw some.
What do you think he saw?
I think Mr. Rodgers was maybe tripping a little bit, looking up at the camera. Like he had a little pregame ayahuasca creatine mix. Like that's his pregame routine is a little bit of ayahuasca, a little bit of creatine. Gets up there, looks at the screen, and I think he just saw like Queen's Gambit style, where she looks up at the ceiling and like the pieces start moving. All of a sudden, just like he looked up at the Jumbotron and like Tom Brady started moving over here, and like Leonard Fournette moved, and he was like, "I see it all. It's coming together." And he went over to Matt.
That is the best explanation of that, Simon, I could have ever imagined. The Queen's Gambit reference, perfect.
Without a doubt what happened, though, right?
It's 100% what happened now, yeah.
That's just such an Aaron Rodgers situation. Like, there's no other quarterback you would be talking about, like, yeah, I looked at the screen and it told me what was going to happen. Like, it told me what was going to happen in this game.
Hit that fun button for Aaron Rodgers. Tell us in the chat what he saw, what you think he saw.
Fantasy Dog said cryptic. Rodgers.
Cryptic. Perfect. Perfect. Also, good morning, Fantasy Dog. Came in and was like, morning, Joey, Simon, coffee. Joey's not even here.
Uh-oh.
I didn't even get a morning.
Maybe he thinks you're Joey.
Me and Joey are the same.
JL is Joey.
You call me Joey.
How does that make you feel, JL?
It makes me feel great. Joey's so handsome.
Joey's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
Astounding head of hair on that.
I hope I look that handsome when I'm his age. I realized halfway through that was going to come out mean. I didn't mean it to.
Just calling him old this morning on the that's so rude. That is so rude.
I meant it as a compliment.
I know you meant it as a compliment.
He's not that much older than me.
And you're saying it as we're talking about his Buccaneers losing to the Packers, just to throw insult on the injury. And
no, I'm saying he has so much more hair than me. That's ridiculous.
Fantasy Dog, you're saying, JL, you are handsome.
Stop it. You're handsome, dog.
You're a handsome dog. I wanted to move on to the next game, JL, and we got another confusing one. Another one where it just makes me scratch my head, like, what the hell is going on in the NFL? So the Indianapolis Colts, who last week were defeated 24-0 by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They didn't score a single point, got blown out, took down the Kansas City Chiefs 20-17 in yesterday's game. The Colts winning 20-17 in this one.
Yeah, I think we can, by the law of transference here, we can say the Jaguars are better than the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Jaguar Super Bowl champions.
Jaguars beat Colts. Colts beat Chiefs. Jaguars are the best.
Super Bowl champions confirmed. Sorry, Dolphins. There's a new cat in town, and his name is as
if the Dolphins were like have like they're the cats of Miami.
They're the cats of the sea. Everyone knows that. The dolphin is the cat of the sea.
Yeah, of course.
What else would be the cat of the sea?
Blowfish?
No, too spiky.
Ooh, what's kind of like what's like a little bit sassy?
So look at the chat. We're idiots. It's the catfish. It is the catfish. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tommy. The catfish is the fish of the sea. Thank you, Craig, as well over in the YouTube chat. We're over here like, I wonder what
for our show.
That one hurt pretty good over there. That one hurt almost as bad as the Chiefs losing to the Colts.
Probably not.
For real, if you were listening to our morning show before the game, the pregame with FYF, my exact words to you and Joey were, there's no way in hell the Colts can beat the Chiefs, right? Like, there's absolutely no way the Colts can beat the Chiefs. And Joey said to me, well, they are at home. Like, that was the most in defense either one of you guys could give me for how the Colts could beat the Chiefs here. But here we are. What do you think happened? Do you think this was more on a Chiefs team that couldn't get it together, or is this Colts team better than they looked through the first 2 weeks?
I think it was a little bit of both.
I knew you're always a both guy. You're always don't try to paint me into a corner.
Lollapalooza effect. Yeah, Charlie Munger. I think it is a bit. Are you familiar with who Charlie Munger is?
Charlie Munger.
Yes.
Anyways. No.
Charlie Munger. You don't know Charlie Munger? Charlie Munger is Warren Buffett's business partner for like life. They've been business partners. They're like you and me, but rich.
Successful.
Basically. Yeah. But he's one of like modern day best thinkers probably in the world. And he has this well-known theory called the Lollapalooza effect, which is that whatever the root, like the cause of an event is, it's probably multiple things. Whereas most human people just tend to simplify it to one thing. Trevor Lawrence didn't play well last year. He must suck. Where it's probably a ton of different factors that are going into it that all add up to it. So that's the Lollapalooza effect, which is happening here, I think, with the Colts, because I think they had a bad first 2 weeks, but this Colts team is not bad. Their defense is good. They were dealing with some injuries early on. The offense was not clicking. You had Matt Ryan, who's a new QB there. I think they're going to start to get it together, and I think we started to see that in this game.
Yeah, and it's not like Matt Ryan blew the roof off the place, right? But he looked like, I think, what we expected from Matt Ryan in this game. Like, he can throw touchdowns. He can be a game manager. 222 yards on 37 attempts, 2 touchdowns. Like, that's all you need from him with having Jonathan Taylor there. Like if Matt Ryan can throw 2 touchdowns, you're in a really good position as this Colts team to win week in, week out. And I see Craig in the chat saying having a high-end kicker to a street kicker does make a big difference. Yeah, you could tell they were missing Mr. Butker on this team. Matt Amendola missed one of his field goals and missed an extra point. And that's the difference in the game right there. He makes those kicks. The Chiefs win this one.
Yeah.
Pretty rough. I love the idea of a street kicker. Man, Matt Amendola just making it out on the streets until one day the Chiefs called him up. Go off the streets. He
throws a cigarette down.
He's a little rough around the edges. He doesn't play by any man's
rules. Puts on his leather jacket, walks into the stadium, and his leather pants.
They had to explain to him that you couldn't kill the other players afterwards if the kick didn't go well. Matt Amendola was out there trying to just absolutely take down these other players, and they were like, "No, Matt, you're not on the streets anymore."
I like to think that he showed up for his audition. Is that what you call it? Tryout?
Audition, I think.
His audition, word, yeah. His audition, and he just rode his hog right into the stadium onto the 50-yard line, just tore up the field doing donuts.
No, absolutely. Maria in here saying JL just doesn't like to make decisions as well. JL, is that true?
I like to make smart decisions. I don't like to make the wrong decisions.
And Craig and you said Street Kicker, the first FYF original film starring Matt Amendola as himself, because he's surely going to be out of a job sometime soon, right? As soon as Harrison Butker's healthy, Matt Amendola is back on the street. We'll bring him in for our new movie.
Yes.
Everybody watching this, we are going to keep on breaking down some more of these games and play some match game a little bit later as well. And we got a Monday Night Football game, Cooper Rush versus Daniel Jones, that we will be previewing for you. Get hyped, get excited about that one. And then former NFL player Wale Agunlia is going to join us on the show a little bit later today as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
We got to get a team in Honolulu. Like, what about that, Ray? You think Oakland? Like, nobody's talking about Honolulu for the Oakland A's to move to. How badass would that be to have a Major League Baseball team? Instead, they want to go to like where it's 120 degrees in the desert of Vegas.
Right.
Ray, they should pick up and go to Honolulu. That would be epic right there.
They could go to Honolulu, and instead of playing 12 games against a team throughout the course of the year, you just play a 12-game set. Just get it done.
What's the flight from the Bay Area? 4 hours?
That's about. It's depending which direction you're going. It's 5.5.
Okay, that's not terrible. You'd have to manage the schedule a bit,
right?
But it's doable. Like, you play your West Coast games, and then maybe you give an extra day. Like you play in San Francisco through Sunday, and then you have your Monday off. Everybody gets their Monday off, and then they play, out in Hawaii for 4 games, and they come back for the weekend.
It's very similar time-wise for us in California, in the Bay Area, to go to Hawaii as it is to go to New York. It's very similar. So yeah, like you're saying, Giants do that to go to the Mets. The A's do that to go to the Yankees. They do it, so it would be very similar.
They would be they've already got the baseball background. I mean, they're dominant. The island loves their baseball. And Ray, you could even rebrand the team from the Oakland A's to the Oakland Lays. You can do the Lays, Ray. Look at that.
Good. That's actually, there's no way that would ever happen, but that's pretty good, Kyle. On the fly.
I'm giving away like free marketing right here.
Good work.
Right on the show.
The plan is for them to stay here, but the fans hate them. I don't know if the city likes them. They can't. I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't know. The plan
There's a lot of land in Hawaii. Just think about the views, Ray, of the Pacific. It would put your crap ballpark in San Francisco to shame. Like, everybody thinks that's a good view.
Right.
It'd have like waterfalls and real palm trees and the Pacific Ocean.
People trolling fire in the 7th inning stretch.
They would make the Giants Park look like, the vet in Philly. It would look that awful if they moved to Hawaii.
And you go to your flip-flops or shorts. They serve Mai Tais. They give Lays away. Or, the first 5,000 fans, whatever.
Well, everybody in the chat room loves it. Every time I get a compliment, I don't bring it up on the show.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't want to be that guy.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
Seconds, 2 seconds. Hurts back. Hurts looking. Hurts firing. Devonta Smith touchdown. He caught it in the corner of the end zone. Again, he went skyward. The Shrill Reaper. How did they get that off?
Devonta Smith with one hell of a week, an absolute superstar. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And JL, that's probably as good a segue as any into this Eagles team, one of 3 undefeated teams remaining in the NFL. We've got all the teams we thought were going to be there. The Eagles, like maybe the most surprising of the 3, then the Miami Dolphins, the perennial powerhouse. And then, of course, the last one, the New York Giants, left as one of the 3 remaining undefeated teams.
Yes. We'll see after tonight. Philadelphia is, I'm very glad to see that they're playing as well as I had hoped this offseason. I kept saying that they just made so many good moves, so many good personnel moves, so many good trades. It really felt like they were putting together a good team. And I feel like most NFL teams where they start to do this and you start to feel like it comes together, they do. You kind of really just tell the difference between good management and poor management.
I was going to say, Jill, sometimes you get the feeling for 20 years that a team's going to come together, and then you remember you're a Browns fan, and every time it's disappointing. Every single time. It feels like they're one step away. But you're right. This Eagles team, it did feel like, okay, they're making these moves. They're addressing the areas they need to address. They go out and get A.J. Brown. They improve this defense. They improve this offensive line. And we're looking at a great team. Like not just a good team. I do think, like, when we talk these undefeated teams, I think the Eagles are the one I'm probably the most impressed with. They just look fairly dominant out there on the field. And Jalen Hurts, if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson doing his absolute best, I think Jalen Hurts is trying to make a case for MVP out there. Like, he has truly looked phenomenal through these first 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He has for fantasy purposes, there's no doubting Jalen Hurts anymore. He has the floor. Well, I feel like last year, that's Jalen Hurts' floor. That's him on a bad team, not passing very much at all. This year, we have this same Jalen Hurts, but he's on a better team, a more well-built team. He's passing more, which you love to see, and he's looking fantastic. I mean, it's hard to not feel like he's going to be the QB1 this year if he keeps this up.
Literally, he had 20 rushing yards yesterday, and he's the second highest scoring quarterback on the week. Know what I mean? Right. That shows you the kind of upside that Jalen Hurts has. Like, it's always this talk about, he can get it done on the ground. He provides you that safe floor, right? It's the cheat code that he can rush the ball. Okay, well, yesterday he had 20 rushing yards, and he still finishes the second highest scoring quarterback on the week, unless Daniel Jones or Cooper Rush has something to say about it tonight. 27.6 points, 22 for 35, 340 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns in that dominant victory over the Washington Commanders, 24-8. Like, he's getting it done. However they ask him to do it, he is getting it done out there. And with different players, it's not like it's just A.J. Brown. He's hitting the open guy, and he's making some magic happen. I'm in Jalen Hurts. Let's see what happens this year.
Yeah, our guy JJ Zach Reason tweeted out his data dump last night. I was reading through it, and he said Jalen Hurts had 20 rushing yards today. That's his second lowest rushing total in a single game since becoming starter at the end of the 2020 season. He still scored 27.6 points.
It's absurd.
That's absurd.
That's not the Jalen Hurts that we were promised, right? It's better.
Right. This is a level this is a new and improved Jalen Hurts who can actually pass, which is fantastic. You love to see that. The Eagles they're going to be I feel like the Eagles that we've seen the last couple of years are no more. They're going to be a better team going forward. And a lot of that has to do with those trades they made this offseason. They really set themselves up well, made some very good trades that were a bit lopsided on their side.
Yeah, I think A.J. Brown's been getting all the attention talking about trades going this way, but I think Devonta Smith was getting a little bit jealous of this Eagles team coming out here and dominating, and the spotlight just being all on A.J. Brown, because Devonta Smith, holy macaroni, 12 targets, 8 receptions, 169 yards and a touchdown in this game. The Slim Reaper striking in this one. JL, I feel like you've been kind of saying this through the first 2 weeks. Like, maybe beginning of the season, it was not sure if they could support 2 fantasy wide receivers. But I feel like after week 1, you were saying, hey, Devonta Smith is a great player, and I do think Jalen Hurts can support 2 wide receivers. Do you still feel that way? Do you think both these guys can find success?
Absolutely, I do. The biggest concern for me after week 1 was, is Devonta Smith, are they going to pass enough for Devonta Smith to be relevant? Because last season we didn't see them pass very much. In that first game, we did see Jalen Hurts come out and pass a decent amount, but almost all of it went to A.J. Brown. And so we knew that had to level out some. We knew A.J. Brown was not going to command like a 50% target share. That would be absurd. And Devonta Smith is talented. So I feel like, yeah, whenever you're trying to find these type of players, it's talent. And then is there lack of production due to a lack of talent, or is it due to some other thing that's constraining them, right? Whether that's opportunity, whether that's environment, snakes. Yeah.
A really large snake could constrain you. That would be hard to play football.
Yeah. I imagine it would make it tougher.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you, Jale. He's a wildly talented player. We saw it last year in the offense that passed the least in the NFL. Devonta Smith still almost put up 1,000 yards last year, right? Like, he was in that 900-yard range. He's a good player. He was a first-round pick. He was the first wide receiver taken in the draft class that he was taken in. It's no surprise that he's not disappearing. But I think 169 yards is surprising for anybody. You know what I mean? Like, even when Cooper Kupp gets that, you're like, holy cow, what a good game. Now, when it's Devonta Smith, it's upgraded a little bit. How do you view him rest of season? Like, we're looking at the end of the year. Where do you think he finishes? Like, as a wide receiver 2?
Yeah, I was trying to pull up his target share real quick. I think most likely he finishes as a wide receiver 2. It depends on how well this team continues to play. But I think wide receiver 2, I'd be safe like predicting that as his like most likely outcome. And I think he has the upside to be more than that, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do that with AJ Brown there. But yeah, I think high end wide receiver 2 is his ceiling.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. That's about how I would view it. And AJ Brown, I'm viewing as a bona fide wide receiver 1 rest of season. I'm sitting here realizing, like, in my mind, how would you write bona fide? Is that one word or multiple words?
It's one word.
Is it BONIFIED? Like, you've been bona fide.
No, it's BONAFID.
Sounds French or something. Sounds like a different
French.
language.
I can't not hear that word and not think of Popeyes, which I guess their marketing is working.
And grind in here, letting me know. French. Nailed it.
French.
Nailed it. It says non equals good.
Ooh,
Bon equals good. Good.
How? A French expert.
Hal is a French name, right? French for hog. I'm pretty sure is what Hal is French for. Joe, we just got some breaking news in here. The NFL has announced the Pro Bowl will now be a week-long skills competition and a flag football game instead of the actual Pro Bowl. So the Pro Bowl is no more. They are changing it to a week-long skills competition. And maybe this is an unpopular opinion. I haven't seen how people have reacted to this yet. I am so down for this because you know what's boring? The Pro Bowl. Like the Pro Bowl is I always watch like the first couple plays and I'm like, I can't watch this. Like I just can't watch this. But a skills competition, it's basically mini games. Know what I mean? Like it's basically like, let's have a Mario Party mini game competition.
It's the best part about the Pro Bowl. Like
literally the best part.
They already do that, don't they? Like that's
I think
part
they're
of
upping it. I think they're doing more.
Okay.
Now. Like
that's going to be like the main thing. Are they even playing a game?
Flag is what it looks like. They're going to play a flag game.
That makes sense because it's
game.
kind of dumb watching them play like half football where they're just kind of tackling each other.
Yeah, it's going to be renamed the Pro Bowl Games, is what it is. They're going to be showcasing their football and non-football skills and challenges over several days. It'll be held in Las Vegas, and there's a flag football game at Allegiant Stadium on February 5th.
That sounds awesome. That sounds great. Like, just like if they had marketed the Pro Bowl originally just like that, like, yeah, we're having a freaking like Mario Party giant competition. Like, who can win? That's awesome. That'd be a ton of fun.
And it's better for the players too, right? Like, they don't have to worry about getting injured as much if they're out there playing mini games and flag football. Like, you don't have to worry about Aaron Donald staring you down from the other side in the Pro Bowl just in like an exhibition game.
It's like, what would you rather do? The thing that you do for work all the time, or like this other thing that's kind of related to that, but it's just like fun competition? This
thing where you can use the skills that you've learned in all of your hard work, but in a fun, playful game with your friends and colleagues.
Yeah, I think that's the crux of it. That's why I don't like the Pro Bowl, is that I can tell that they're bored and they're not even like doing it fully. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, it just feels like an exercise and for nothing.
Fantasy Dog in here saying games should include cornhole. Just saying, absolutely, they should have a cornhole competition.
Listen,
that would be
football,
so cool.
You should be able to either score 6 points via a touchdown, or if you can launch the ball past the 50-yard line and hit it directly into a cornhole hole in the corner of the end zone.
Okay, Joe, you get to add one game to the skills competition. What game are you adding? It can be anything you want. You can go like minute to win it style mini game. It can be football related. It can be a different sport. Like, okay, let's hear it.
You know those sumo wrestling suits?
Yes.
That. like in The Office. Where Andy gets stuck in the lake and wearing a sumo suit.
I'm about it. I like it, Joe. I think for mine,
Aaron Donald wearing a sumo suit wouldn't.
That's got to be a big sumo suit. Or would he just like hit the inflate button, but nothing would happen because he already like fills it all the way out to the edges? Like there's no more room for air in there because there's so much air and Donald in there.
Who would be the funniest to do the sumo competition? Which two players?
Aaron Donald and
Kyler Murray.
Darren Sproles. Oh, Kyler Murray would be funnier. You're right.
Aaron Rodgers. I got the answers from the sun.
All of a sudden, yeah, you just see him like lay on his back and you're like, what is he doing? And then all of a sudden the other player falls out of the ring. He's like,
a giant fist comes out of the earth.
I saw it on the Jumbotron.
The Jumbotron told me.
Aaron Rodgers is Bayonetta. You had no idea.
Why was that exactly what I was imagining too?
Now I'm imagining Aaron Rodgers running around in high heels and just like kicking his foot up and a giant fist comes out of his foot.
Dressed like the glasses and everything, his hair long.
Oh my God. Aaron Rodgers is Bayonetta. Okay, so that is the thing I'm adding to the skills competition is a Bayonetta lookalike competition. So it's going to be like a Bayonetta cosplay competition. Everyone come in their best Bayonetta cosplay. And Aaron Rodgers is going to win that one. So we can just go ahead and mark down that as a W for Aaron
Bayonetta was
Rodgers.
not as popular of a game that like most people probably have no idea what we're talking about.
She was in Super Smash, right? Wasn't she a character in Super Smash?
Yeah, she is.
Okay, so there we go. That gets some name recognition. Even
it's your fault if you don't know.
But if you've never played Bayonetta, there are hardly any more fun, just like shoot 'em up games. Like it is just a casual run around and just absolutely destroy everything. Hack and slash. Work and grind in here saying a Ninja Warrior course. I'm not sure how many NFL players would agree to try a Ninja Warrior course, though. Like you're gonna hurt yourself on there.
I've never seen anyone get hurt on TV.
Yeah, those are also like incredible athletes usually on Ninja Warrior. My
NFL players aren't.
My toxic trait, JL, is watching Ninja Warrior and thinking like, yeah, I can do that. Like, like give me 2 tries and I can do that without a doubt.
And most of the male population.
Like I just look at it and I'm like, yeah, no problem. Like I can make it to the end of that.
I've never like talked about that show with a friend who didn't immediately say that.
Well, because the other good thing is I'll never have to back that up ever. Like there is well, I'm not applying. Like I'm not going to put myself in the situation to back. You're telling
me that we might one day not do just a FYF American pay someone to put this up and then film it for the contents.
Oh, Joe, you know I'll hurt myself. This goes back to like the
100%.
The comment earlier about my competitive drive outweighs my athletic ability consistently. That's what, like, whenever Leanne and I go rock climbing, she always looks at me and says, like, Simon, you rock climb like someone who has the world's best health insurance. Like, you just climb like you got no cares in the world. Like, everything's good to go if you fall off that wall.
It's like that one guy from the Alpinist.
The Alpinist.
I forget his name. Andre
Leclerc. John Andre Leclerc or something like that.
That seems pretty close. I'm gonna look it up now.
Luke Andre.
That guy just climbed with like reckless abandon.
Yo, that dude wild. Go check out
Marc-Andre Leclerc. You got it right.
I missed the mark. I said John Andre Leclerc, but we were there. Pretty impressive at 6 a.m. is when it's not that time right now. It's probably 6 a.m. in Australia by now. We were talking about the new skills competition. Keith had an idea for another skill. Butt punts. How far can you hit someone's butt with a punt? You know what, Keith? I'm going to change it a little. I'm going to change it a little bit. Trent Sherfield has to be the one getting the ball kicked into his butt for every single one of them, and it's going to be how far can you move Trent Sherfield with a butt punt? So that is the new game that I'm. So Trent Sherfield,
poor booty is going to be so red.
He discovered something about himself this weekend. I think in that photo, he was like, "Ooh." Like one more time, please. And so I think they're gonna make that like he's gonna call up the NFL and be like, let's add this to the skills competition, see who can butt pump me the furthest. And you're gonna get one by one punters just coming out. He's gonna take 15 of them right up the butt cheeks and see who can launch them the furthest.
The butt cheeks. He's gonna take 15 of them right up the butt cheeks. Why did you say that? So
JL, they changed. I didn't get rid of the Pro Bowl. Okay, they got rid of the Pro Bowl.
It's their fault.
What else am I supposed to?
You're right.
Butt punt, and then you immediately announce a skills-based competition. Like, I can put two and two together here.
Your fault.
Like, I can put 2 and 2 together. My favorite part about this is if you look at the Bills-Dolphins box score, it says Trent Sherfield has 1 catch for 5 yards, and I just really like imagining that was the catch.
I you know what, Simon? I meant to say this earlier in the show. You did not get enough respect for the tweet that you had about it.
Like, just imagine it stays there.
Yeah,
Like,
he's like, Simon Street was like, but imagine if he caught it. with the picture of the butt right there.
I imagine like in basketball when a free throw just like gets stuck between the hoop and the backboard. Know what I mean? And the ball just like, and everyone's kind of looking around like, where's the ball? And then it's like, oh, get the crew out here.
And then
we got to get this one down.
a tall guy to come and tip it.
They got to get a short guy in there to come pull it out of Trent Sherfield.
Oh my God, that's so fun. And then like, what does he do? Does he start running? Like, does he have any awareness, or is he like immediately freeze?
I think he just freezes in place.
What happened?
I know we have more butt punt to talk about, but we had a question in here from Bronson that I wanted to make sure we got to. Bronson asked us, should I trade Sutton, Pitts, Gabe Davis, and Jeff Wilson? Wee-wah hitting us with a big boy trade this morning, Bronson, for Chase, Aaron Jones, and Dalton Schultz. So Sutton, Pitts, Gabe Davis, and Jeff Wilson for Chase, Aaron Jones, and Dalton Schultz.
All right.
I think this comes down to, what do you believe about Pitts? Like, what do you believe
greater
about
than Dalton
Pitts?
Schultz?
Is Pitts a lot greater than Dalton Schultz? I think is what this comes down to. Because unless Pitts is a lot greater than Dalton Schultz, like I look at these other pieces, Aaron Jones, better than Sutton, right? Or Jeff Wilson. Maybe we want to do Aaron Jones for Jeff Wilson. Aaron Jones better than Jeff Wilson. Chase, I'd rather have than Sutton plus Gabe Davis. Like, you know what I mean? Just Chase. Like, give me that over those two wide receivers. And then Pitts for Dalton Schultz. Pitts is the piece that wins on this first side for me. So it comes down to like, is Pitts multiple tiers ahead of Dalton Schultz for you? If so, then I think that's the side. If not, I'm on the Chase, Aaron Jones, Dalton Schultz side.
I think I'm on that side by a lot. I think the difference is Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson is not the main guy there forever. Jeff. Yeah, he's not going to be there forever. Elijah Mitchell should be coming back. Yeah, it'd be hard for me to make this trade. Jamar Chase really pushes it over the edge. I lost it because it went out of my view, so I'm finding it over here. And then Aaron Jones, I do really like Aaron Jones. I think he's far. Yeah, I think that right. The value you're getting from Chase and Aaron Jones outweighs what you're losing from going from Pitts to Schultz.
Yeah, we had does that answer your question, Bronson? I hope I was clear right there. No, I think I'm with you, JL. I'm going to be on the Chase, Aaron Jones, Dalton Schultz side. You're getting the best player at two of the three positions involved in this trade. You're getting Aaron Jones, which is much better than Jeff Wilson. You're getting Jamar Chase, obviously, like the alpha dog. And then Dalton Schultz, yeah, it's a downgrade from Kyle Pitts, but he's still a serviceable tight end. You can still start him week in, week out. We had another question in here from Tyson. Said, should I trade Chubb in either one of Hunt, Pollard, Allen Robinson for CMC and Higgins? So Chubb plus Pollard, Allen Robinson, or Hunt for CMC and Higgins. Jay, are you doing that?
This is a strategy question. So it's going to depend on your team. I think that it is
we have an update before you get too deep into it. Okay. Tyson said this person just offered him CMC and Higgins for Nick Chubb. So Christian McCaffrey and T. Higgins for Nick Chubb.
Take that immediately. Hit accept.
Yep, I'm taking that as well.
So quickly.
I know Nick Chubb has outperformed CMC, but his upside is capped with his lack of receiving work. CMC has that crazy upside. And even if CMC ends the season worse than Nick Chubb, you're getting T. Higgins, like someone with top 12 wide receiver potential in that trade as well. This is a no-brainer right there. I'm taking that all day.
That is a man. Well, that's a great trade. The first one you offered, I think, is a little much. I felt like a little maybe too much to give up, but that is other side of it.
We had a question in here from Tommy. This was from Hal, JL. Sorry, Hal. Your name's not Tommy. He said, you guys think Dortch has taken Moore's job?
Dortch?
I mean, in as much of a way as Moore had a job, Dortch has taken it. Like, Moore never really like established himself. I think it was more like the unpaid intern who they told, like, after 6 months, we'll like decide whether we want to continue or not. Know what I mean? Like, it never seemed like the Cardinals really committed to Moore having a role in this team, but Dortch is doing what we thought Rondale Moore would do with that role in my eyes. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Dortch maintain some of this work once Rondale Moore comes back. What about you, JL?
I think Rondale Moore's job is secure. He's a second-round pick. He's dealing with a hamstring issue, which is, they just haven't even been able to play him because of that. And so I think once he comes back, he'll be fine. If it's a hamstring, it's likely a lingering issue. So he might deal with it throughout the season. But in terms of like the job, when we're talking about Rondo Moore's job, I think that's secure. And I think draft capital is the main reason. And too, like they just haven't seen it. For them to give up would be kind of surprising.
This is the team that drafted Mr. Josh Rosen in the first round and then moved on the next year, though. Know what I mean? Like they are willing to kind of ignore that loss of value from draft capital.
They did see it. At least they got Josh Rosen in there, and they saw like and I feel like that, slightly different.
I think they're seeing more from Dortch. Like I think Dortch might be performing better in this role than we saw Rondale Moore perform in this role for them, though. Is like what I'm saying. Like so, I think draft capital only goes so far, and if Dortch is performing well, I think he's earned continuous targets even when Rondale Moore comes back. Like maybe it gets more ambiguous.
Have we seen him in this role? We haven't even seen Rondale Moore in this role, right? And in this offense, because it's a slightly newer offense, right? Marquise Brown is there. It's might shake out differently. What is Greg Dortch undrafted?
Dortch. He's undorched. He's undorched. Yeah, he's undorched for sure. I just Googled Dorched. That is not a verb right there. Jason, say Dortch one more time. Jail, can you say Dortch one more time?
Dortch. And
maybe one more time?
Dortch. This kind of reminds me of our earlier conversation with Dustin about Khalil Herbert taking over. And I think a lot of times, as fantasy managers, we see that this player is playing better than the player who's already established there. NFL doesn't always work like that. Coaches don't always think like that. So even Khalil Herbert, who we saw him far outperform David Montgomery even last year in those limited sample size, did not get the job. He did not take over that job. And I think a similar type of thing here is, the coaches aren't thinking the same as fantasy.
Yeah. We had a question in here from Fantasy Dog Jail. He said, should I drop Wentz as a backup to Allen for Lawrence? And here's what I'm going to say. You should drop Wentz, but you don't necessarily need to pick up Lawrence. You don't, if this is a one quarter. Oh, I think he said super flex earlier. If I'm not mistaken, let me double check. I don't know if this is super flex. If this is non-super flex,
you should trade Wentz, and Trevor Lawrence probably would not be on the waiver wire.
This has to be one quarterback.
Yeah.
Fantasy Dog said no. I would drop Carson Wentz, and I would pick up a Khalil Herbert, or I would pick up a Michael Gallup, or one of these players, maybe a Jameson Williams that you could tuck into your IR instead of picking up Trevor Lawrence.
Yep, I'm with you 100%. Josh Allen, actually has an earlier bye week. It's week 7, but stream someone that week. I don't think you need to take up a spot for the next 3 weeks on your bench. If Trevor Lawrence is on the waiver wire, it's just, this is the downside of one QB leagues in the quarterback position, is that there's just so many of them.
Yeah. Bronson in here wants to know, should I trade Kamara? And if so, what should I try to get? No, I'm not trying to trade Kamara unless you're getting top value for him right now, which you're probably not after these first couple weeks and coming off an injury. Like, this is the worst time to try to trade Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, the way you want to think about when to trade your players is that has more to do with the way that the public is viewing the player than it has to do with how you feel about it, right? Because of course, if you're panicking right now and you're like, I got to get rid of Alvin Kamara, I want to get someone better, everyone is feeling that way. Everyone is aware that Alvin Kamara has not scored points. And if they're not, they're going to click on his little card on your platform, and they're going to see he's gotten 11 points, fantasy points over 3 weeks. He didn't play week 2, so keep that in mind. But I'm never going to trade away a player who's at their lowest, right? Or who is let me rephrase this. I would rather trade away a player who the public thinks is going to take a step up, because then they're going to pay more, right? Someone like Kamara, it's not that he lost his talent. This is not something that's going to be forever. He's going to have great games. And so you just hold, you wait. If you really are set on trading him, go ahead and wait until he has a big game and then start looking around, until people start being like, okay, now he's back.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is like Chase Edmonds is the kind of guy that, like, this is the week where you look to trade him, right? He only got 6 carries, but ended with 2 rushing touchdowns and 21 yards. Like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is another one where the production doesn't match the work that he's being given. His output is greater than what his input says it should be. Like, those are the players that you're looking to trade, not the ones where like you got these inputs, you're getting the work, but they're not outputting up to that level that you think you are. Those are the ones you hold. You wait till that output matches at least.
You got to think at least one step ahead of how everybody else is thinking. And that's how you really get an edge in this game.
Absolutely. Guys, if you're enjoying this, if you like hanging out with Jay, L, and I, then you should head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. Hit that subscribe button. We've got all sorts of stuff going on over there. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time is our fantasy football game show where we play a game about a game with members from the community who love the game about a game.
Some may even say game cubed.
Some may even say game cubed, and some may say that we shot that down as the title because we feared Nintendo coming after us. Yoshi scares the shit out of me.
I feel
little dinosaur.
I feel like it's Luigi for you guys. Like deep down, your hatred for Luigi comes from a place of fear.
I don't have fear for Luigi, but I do have hatred for Luigi. That just, you know what? The Luigi rants for a different way, JL. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on the Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Surely. Kickers never retire, I think. They just continue playing for all eternity. Like, there's only ever been 30 NFL kickers.
Yeah, they're always readily available too, it seems. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just get called up. They're like, you kicked for us 10 years ago, right? Why don't you
run it back? That's right.
I imagine every single kicker that gets the call is on a high school football field somewhere just practicing field goals after hours. Like it's like 9 p.m. and they're out there just the local high school kicking field goals, and the phone rings. They get the call and they're like, yeah, I'm ready. I've been practicing for this.
I have an amazing kicker story if you guys have a second.
I got a couple.
The number one all-time field goal kicker is Adam Vinatieri. The next two guys are Morton and Gary Anderson, right? Gary Anderson was a dude from like South Africa that just played rugby and soccer. He just could absolutely boot the ball, right? They bring him over and he does like a tryout and he's just absolutely crushing the ball. And all these colleges are like, dude, we want you to come kick field goals for us. And he goes, I don't even want to play football. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, so if I can come to your school and play soccer, I'll also, in the fall, I'll kick for the football team. And Syracuse was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, you're on the soccer team. Like, come on. And he went to Syracuse to play soccer, but also kick field goals. And then he ended up being a top 3 point scorer in the NFL all the time.
That's ridiculous.
And his answer to recruiters was, I don't want to play football. I'll do it in my spare time.
Yeah. He's like, you got a spot for me on the soccer team. Syracuse is like, yeah, we got a spot for you.
We don't even care about our soccer team.
We don't even care.
It's totally at that spot.
Right? They had to like cobble together a soccer team. This guy's the captain.
Oh my God. It's like Accepted, the movie, but they just like had to throw together a whole fake soccer team.
Somehow they still got Justin Long.
Right, yeah. Like, Adam Sandler's the coach. And dude, imagine they win the national championship. That's a movie, dog. Yeah.
Boom!
Someone call up Disney. Yeah, we just wrote a movie for you, Disney. This has Disney sports movie written all over. I'm borderline crying right here just thinking about this movie right now.
Dude, the story gets even crazier. Like, I should have looked it up again, but like it was like a high school coach that went and found him, and then that high school coach ended up being somebody crazy famous that like coached for the Rams.
Stay tuned for sports. Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And we got a Luigi fight in the chat that we started before we threw it right to break. But JL, the non-Luigis, the non-muted team is winning. Tim saying Luigi is the worst. Jay also hating on Luigi. But you got Joey on your team. Joey at least likes
Joey's all I need. Joey's got everything I need.
You guys look like some Luigi loving guys, is the word I was gonna say.
100% true. That's accurate.
Luigi loving men is what you are. You really love Luigi. We are about to play some match game jail. For those of you who have not played this with us before, we've got Maria coming on the show, Front Yard Fantasy Maria. She has asked people from around the community some fill in the blank questions. She's going to let us know who she asked, what the question is, and we are going to try to match what their answer was. JL, Maria will be up here with us shortly. I've still yet to get one right in this game. This will be the third time.
Last time.
Or did I get one? No, I did get one.
Maria,
can you fact check for us? Did I get one right last time?
No, I don't think.
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh wait. No. Yeah, that was one. I thought I had this score in my notes.
Hi,
Yeah, Simon got nothing. Coop and I got one.
Yeah, it was 1-1-0.
Damn.
Yeah.
Rough start. But Maria, thank you so much for joining us. Fantasy Dog, and you're saying, I love this stuff. And Jolly Rancher's saying hello as well. I love this stuff too. I'm excited to play the game.
Me too.
Simon, you're going to do well today. I can feel it.
You can feel it?
I can feel it too.
She's going to text me the answers.
If my screen goes black, that's why.
All right, you ready to get into it, Maria?
I'm ready. Okay, let's start with what I think is a little easier one. Okay. I think you're going to get this. So I asked G-Man J, Mr. J Felicio.
Never heard of him.
A team I will never root for is. A team I will never root for is. What would Jay have said?
Can I ask a clarification question?
Sure.
Is this an NFL team for sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I have heard of them. They are real.
I'm between two teams. There's the obvious one and the slightly less obvious one. Both obvious. And there's a third less
Tim
less
just put a great
obvious
one in too. I don't know. All three answers in here so far have been good.
Okay, we're not gonna get cute on this first one. We're gonna.
I don't know if this is right.
It's kind of cute.
Don't overthink it. Don't underthink it. Just go.
All right.
Just medium think it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I gotta write it down so that I can reveal it, right?
Yeah. Okay,
All right.
I got my answer. G-Man J. And if you can't tell by his Twitter handle, he's a G-Man. He is a Giants fan. He's with us at Front Yard Fantasy.
Also an FBI agent.
Man.
All right, I got it.
All right, your answers are? We got Cowboys and Eagles.
I was going to go with Cowboys.
I was going to go with Eagles.
Hi.
One of you is correct. The answer is...
And I just want to say to all the Cowboys out there, not the football players, but like actual Cowboys, I'm sorry I said that I'm not going to be cute, because you know what? Cowboys can be cute. Cowboys can be cute. I wrote Cowboys.
We've seen your cowboy hat.
Yeah, I mean, just take a look at my profile picture on Twitter. Cowboys, that is not cute when I'm in cowboy boots. That is where I draw the line. The most uncomfortable shoes on planet Earth. Almost worth not cheering for them with, Jay, just because of the boots they wear.
Crocs or cowboy boots?
Crocs. Not even close on a different tier.
Ooh. I'll go Crocs.
I was going to say, at least they have utility for you, right?
Yeah, they got holes.
They're his taking out the trash shoes.
They're my taking out the trash shoes. Going out to the park shoes.
All right. So the next one came from Marco. So at Marco_14P, I asked him the best way to cook a potato.
The best way
to cook a potato.
The best way to cook a potato from Marco. He's a Bears fan, if that helps anybody out there. On Twitter, Marco_14P.
How do bears like the potatoes cooked?
Marco is partially Mexican. I shouldn't be helping Simon. Okay.
I'm going a little off script on this one, I think.
Can I ask a clarification question?
Sure.
Is this the best way to cook it as in like the best form, a potato, or is this like sauteed?
So I would
No, like the best form, like what's the best outcome, I guess. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Jail, I think you're pushing the lines here a little bit with your questions. Like you're getting the question that they got, right? So part of the game, you should be thinking like, what does Marco think here?
That's a good point.
Maybe. I'm ready.
I'm ready as well.
All right. Please reveal your answers. Twice baked and hash browns.
Ooh, twice bakes are so dank.
Oh, and I see Tommy in the chat in there with the twice baked as well.
Yes.
Can you hear that? It's time for school. Don't worry, there's no children coming in. All right.
Simon, I should be in kindergarten.
The best way to cook a potato, according to Marco.
Marco seemed like a man of culture. Ooh, I am on fire today.
That is 2-0 for those who are keeping track at home.
Oh man, that felt good too to get it with an answer like twice baked. Know what I mean?
It's a bit more obscure, but man, are they dank. I'm not even sad about losing that one.
And Jail's mom makes amazing twice baked potatoes.
So good. She hates making them because it's too much work, but it's so good. So we make her do it.
Like our favorite part of the holidays.
Yes, yeah. Hope she's watching. She'll be happy about that.
You know what? But shout out to all the other kinds of potatoes too. Great job.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Really, you're all stars in my eyes.
Leanne always makes fun of me because whenever we go to breakfast or brunch, if there are any form of breakfast potatoes on the menu, it doesn't matter what I ordered. I'm always getting a side of them. Like there'll always be breakfast potatoes included.
Yep. All right, I need some redemption here, Maria.
Joey, disgusting. What's wrong with you? He just said mashed with mayo is the 101.
Y'all have the weirdest opinions sometimes. I'm specifically
potato.
Joey. Oh,
Dustin, you gotta come over.
Yeah, you gotta change your life, bro.
Game day twice baked.
If you don't know what twice bakes are, it's essentially mashed potatoes that they then put back into the skin and then recook. It is so good.
It's phenomenal. Usually they mix some like diarrhea agents in there, like cream cheese or sour cream or
butter,
something like that as well. Butter, like all the different things that upset your tummy but make it so delicious.
No bacon at our house.
Yes.
Bacon at my house.
All right. What's the next one?
All right, John Luke. We're vegetarians, Tommy. That's why. Sorry.
That's why I am.
This was Jake Trowbridge.
Jake.
If NFL teams were office characters, who would be Kevin?
Oh my God, that's such a good prompt.
This is
if
right
NFL
up Jail's
teams
alley.
This is the best
were
prompt.
Office characters, who would be Kevin?
First of all, shout out Jake Trowbridge. If you're not following him, that man is a absolute delight.
Agreed.
One of the greatest people ever.
Who would be Kevin?
You know, Kevin plays fantasy football. He's a big fantasy guy. He was on Good Morning Football the other day. I was watching.
For real?
Yeah. He was on there getting analysis. And dude, my dream is to get him on the show. Keith, make it happen. He knows his stuff too.
Keith, if you're listening, we need him on the show.
Yeah, please make that happen.
I got my answer and I feel pretty good about it.
Oh, I was talking. Hold on. Now you talk so I can think.
My dream is to have Kevin on the show. He's a big fantasy football player. I saw him on Good Morning Football America the other day, and he was out there just talking about it. Keith, we got to get Kevin on the show if you're listening.
What'd you guys talk about while I was gone? I'm ready.
Oh, we just talked about Kevin and how he plays fantasy, and he was on Good American
Simon
Morning
and I are going
Football.
to be best friends with him, and the day you're not here for the show, we're going to have him on. No.
This is so mean. Keith said I never listened during the show.
Just afterwards.
You're promoted. Promote Keith.
All right.
All right, I'm ready.
Answers. Panthers and Texans?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The way she said that really inspires a lot of confidence in your answer, huh,
I know, right? I know.
I couldn't see. I only said NS. So I was like, let me guess. All right. So I'm actually surprised that neither of you got this.
Damn it.
Because earlier in the show, I literally wrote down what you said, John Lucas. You said the Panthers are like adults something about adults who are kids. And I'm like, that's Kevin or the Jaguars.
Oh,
Not the
Jaguars. Yeah.
Jaguars.
You literally said that earlier. And I was like, oh, he'll get this one. No problem.
Oh, man. Jake Trowbridge.
I was trying to think of teams that maybe like didn't have all the pieces to be a great NFL team, but most people liked them anyways. Know what I mean? Like Kevin doesn't have all the pieces to be a great accountant, but everyone likes him anyways. He's missing a couple pieces though.
That's a good point. And you know what? When did you ask him that, Maria?
That was probably like 2 weeks
Before
ago
the
or
season?
something like that.
I wonder if his answer would change now because the Jaguars are undefeated. Or no, not undefeated. They're 2-1, right?
They're Jaguar undefeated. That's
Oh my God. And Dustin, we're going to have a twice baked office party now.
That sounds
exciting.
That's everything I love. That's everything I love.
I don't know why my next question was going to be, yeah, well, have you seen any of the extended episodes on Peacock, Dustin? No, if he's never seen a regular episode, of course he hasn't seen the extended cut ones.
Have you seen the bloopers? All right.
You got another one
for you.
How many more do we have? What's the lay of the landscape here? Two more? Okay, so Joe, you can tie it. You can tie it here.
So it is 2-0. We're going into round 4 of 5. And this question I asked Herms. So at Herms. The best NFL logo. The best NFL logo is blank.
There's two different routes we can go here. I'm not giving away any secrets whenever I let people know that Herms is a Steelers fan. Like out there, Herms is a Steelers fan. He's pretty open about it. But Jalen, I'm just gonna think out loud a little bit here, okay?
Okay.
Herms is also into like the pop punk aesthetic and like rock. I'm thinking maybe I might want to look for like the logo that like speaks to his aesthetic the most and not necessarily his favorite team. But I'm trying to decide.
This is the best logo.
Ooh, this is tough. There's so many different ways you could go with this.
Get in the set of Herms.
Okay, I'm in.
What is
Herms? Man, I'm in lockstep with one person in the chat today, it seems like.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Wait. Not yet.
Are you drawing the logo? Because you don't have to draw the logo.
I'm changing my answer.
I don't know why I just thought about Beyblades in this moment, but like I wanted to just be like, let it rip.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
JL, if you're ready, then do it.
And the Steelers.
I almost went Raiders.
I was going to say, it looked like you crossed out Raiders.
That's where I started to go. And then I was like, you know what? No.
All right. The answer that Herms gave me for the best NFL logo.
Chargers.
Oh, it's a pretty good logo. It's a pretty good logo.
I had thought about it because I think that might have been my answer, but I was like, no, Herms wouldn't pick the Chargers.
What did the girl in that TikTok, John Luke, call it? She was like, the crowns.
Oh, yeah. We were watching the TikTok.
Little logos came over her head.
And she has
her
the
boyfriend
name.
was like behind her. And she was like saying what team it was. And the Chicago Bulls were in there. The Chicago something else. And then when the Chargers came up, they were the crowns. And every time this man behind her, she's like, yeah.
Yeah.
She was so confident she had them all.
Did you guys see the TikTok where there was a guy watching the game and the caption was, don't tell him the game in the other room is 1 minute ahead. And like, it was unmuted in the bedroom. And like, you could see from her angle, she could see it. Like she was sitting a little behind him and she just kept saying things like, look at that coverage. It's about to be a pick right here. And then like, and he just looks at her and he goes, God, you're calling everything. And he goes, you're calling everything. Like it was like a moment of like existential dread where like he said it twice. He was like, you're calling everything. Like
it starts to piece it
exactly.
Together,
like you saw at the end of the video, there was a moment where he was like, something's fishy here. And she just like over and over again was hitting it.
All right, this is the final round, contestants. This is the final round.
All right, bonus. This is for all the marbles because I've already lost.
The marbles?
The marbles. Marbles.
All right, I asked Linda herself.
Linda Lyons.
One with all of the kicker knowledge. The team that has the ugliest color scheme. the team that has the ugliest color scheme is?
Ooh.
There's an obvious one, and then there's a couple different routes you could go, I feel like, but they're ooh.
I don't know. We'll see.
I'm changing my answer. I'm calling an audible at the last second, and it's based on one very specific color scheme of this team that I think holds some weight.
All right, let's go. Seahawks. John Luke can't see yours. Is it Browns?
Browns.
Yeah, I originally had Browns written down, but I went with Seahawks.
Seahawks would be my answer.
Neon jerseys.
Really?
People love them signing that.
What?
People freaking love it, and I
don't
don't
know
understand.
They don't. Wait, people.
But they're not the worst in my opinion.
They're the second worst, besides those dumb Steelers Bumblebee uniforms.
All right. Well, according to Linda, which is all that matters, the ugliest color scheme. The Chiefs.
The Chiefs. We were both
Ketchup
wrong
and
right there.
mustard.
I got meat bonked. 0 points.
McDonald's. 0 points for JL. 2 points for me. Maria, does that officially make me the winner?
Simon.
Woohoo! It's about time. I've
Good
been
game.
needing to get one of those. Maria, thank you so much for coming on and putting this game together and playing with us today.
Love the cards, by the way.
Anytime, boys.
Yeah.
I will
props
see
to
you
your
next time.
handwriting. Props to those papers.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
We'll see you next time, Maria. Man, always fun playing that game with Maria. And I see Joey in the chat saying Linda's an Oklahoma State fan, which is Browns colors. So she'd be a
that's a good
hypocrite if
point.
she said Browns. That is a great point, Joey. Guys, coming up, we're going to be talking some Monday Night Football, previewing that game. And we've got former NFL player Wale Agunlia joining the show as well. So make sure you stick around here. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
I believe one of our bosses at Better Sports Network put out a tweet asking all of the hosts on Better Sports Network to react to how their fantasy teams are going thus far. And my reaction was 2 words in all caps: not ideal. It's not having more of a 500 type of week. But then you had others respond saying they don't check their scores until Monday. Why? What? Is it just not fun watching your fantasy teams as the games are going on? I understand maybe not obsessing for the first hour, but normally, Ron, within the first 2 hours, I'm checking my scores. Why are some of our analysts on BSN against checking their scores until freaking Monday?
That to me is like you're watching porn and the girl starts to take off her shirt and then you click off the video. Why? Don't you want to see the rest? Like, come on, man. Sorry, I'm a person that has to look at scores. No matter how much I try and refrain, like I have to open it and look. So that's just me. Sometimes it's not good. I get it. I understand if someone doesn't want to check till the night. You have so many leagues. You don't want to put stress on yourself. But you're not checking Sunday night going into the night game to see what you have left. You don't want to know who your opponent has. You have, I don't know. For me, I got to check. So I got to look. No matter how much I have to, like right now with baseball, like I'm checking every day. I mean, I thought in my home league I was done. This guy had a huge lead. I am actually a 1.5 back now. So now I'm like, oh, here we go. And I have another league that's close. So yeah, man, I mean, I got to check. If you don't want to check during 2-3 o'clock, I get it. It's early and things happen, but I'm always looking. So I don't see how you can go the whole day Sunday.
It's fun. Isn't it fun watching your scores while the games are going on? It's fun. I get that you're on tilt kind of, but that's why we play.
So what are you going to do? Not watch games all day and then be like, all right, I'll tune in at 7:15, see what happens. Like, that's what it's like doing. I don't know. I don't get it.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We've been recapping the games, playing a little match game, and we're going to keep on going up until that 10 a.m. Eastern time slot, at which point you guys should stick around here on Better Sports Network. There's a whole day of killer programming. Right after us, Moose and Keith are going to be on, followed by Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru, and then Corey, Nando, and friends. The Boogity Boogity and the Winnie the Pooper themselves are live after that. So make sure you guys are sticking around here on Better Sports Network for some of that. And I see Tommy in the chat coming in saying the Chiefs logo makes me sick. But that's coming from a Raiders fan. He might be a little bit biased.
Can't blame you.
It might be a little bit unhappy if the next game I wanted to talk about was the Tennessee Titans versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Titans winning that game 24-22. The Raiders, it feels like they can't put together a complete game, right? Like this week, their offense got going early. Seemed like for the first time all season, like the Raiders offense was moving in the first half, but somebody forgot to let their defense know that there was a game or something because they just did not show up in the first half at all. And then in the second half, the defense is like, no, wait, we're here. Like we're here. We can shut down the Tennessee Titans. And then the offense just said, never mind. You guys weren't here whenever I was here. So I left. And we ended with this 24-22 game. A disappointing ending. The Raiders went for 2 to try to tie it. Couldn't get it done. Are you worried about this Raiders team, Jail? 0-3 start. I think they were picked last in that division quite regularly, but because it was a tough division, not because they were necessarily bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be somewhat concerned. From a fantasy perspective, no, I'm not too concerned. I think Josh Jacobs is I mean, he's got his role. I'm not too worried about him. And the wide receiver side, I mean, who are you really worried about outside of Darren Waller? And he's been playing decently throughout the season. So Devontae Adams, he didn't have a good game. He did have a touchdown. He had a touchdown. Sorry, I was rushing.
It wasn't a crazy Devontae Adams game. You know what I mean?
It wasn't a crazy.
He did have a touchdown.
But yeah, from fantasy perspective, I am not too worried. As an NFL team, I think they're in a tough division, and it's not great starting off 0-3.
No, probably lowers your expectations of a playoff run for these Raiders this year. It's probably not the year that they're making it into the playoffs. Starting in an 0-3 hole is a little bit tough to come back from. Matt Collins, though. Yeah. Jinx, you owe me a Coke. Knock on wood.
You owe me a Matt Collins.
You owe me
an evening with Matt Collins.
You owe me a Hunter Renfrow.
Okay.
We got Albert in here saying Matt
Double
Collins,
date.
dynasty wide receiver number 1. Absolutely. No, Matt Collins without Hunter Renfrow, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 158 yards, and a touchdown. Jail, is Matt Collins only a start when Hunter Renfrow is out, or is this a player that, just nothing else?
That's it.
That's it.
What do you think? Do you think it is?
Yes. He's just the start when Hunter Renfrow is out. I was trying to say exactly what you said right there. Yeah, when Hunter Renfrow is out, sure, you can fire up your Matt Collins, but don't expect 158 yards and a touchdown if Hunter Renfrow is out again and Matt Collins goes out there.
Yeah, I mean, week 2, he did have, from just weeks 1 through 3. First week, he got 1 target. Second week, 8 targets. Third week, 10 targets. Currently, he has a 16.4% target share in this team.
I think Hunter...
That is pretty decent. I think Hunter Renfrow limits Matt Collins and probably makes him much less fantasy relevant. I think we have more of those like week 1 type games where he had 1 target, Hunter Renfrow had 6. But I still think that he's going to be able to have these blow up weeks randomly. He's good. He's good. And Derek Carr seems to, not have any trouble passing it to him.
Yeah. It seems like the Raiders side is pretty clear cut. Know what I mean? I'm like, who you like?
Yeah, it's not like a ton of ambiguity.
You start Devontae Adams, you start Hunter Renfrow, you start Josh Jacobs, you start Darren
People
Waller.
were worried about Josh Jacobs in the offseason, and I feel like through the first three weeks, like
it's his job.
Yeah, which is kind of what we were expecting, even though they drafted Zamir White and they did not renew Josh Jacobs' 5th-year option, I believe. It still doesn't matter. They're going to use him. Why not? You have this. You're paying this running back. Why wouldn't you? Get as much as you can out of him.
And he's good. Know what I mean?
And he's very good. Yeah.
And he's a very good running back. He's the best running back on the team as well.
Right.
Yeah. There's just, it feels pretty clear, if not exciting, like not exciting, but clear on the Raiders side. The Tennessee side, I feel like a doofus, JL. You know what I mean? I feel a little bit like a doofus because I've been looking at these snap share numbers through the first couple weeks. Like I've been watching them, and I've been seeing like Treylon Burks not crack that 50% mark, 37% week 1, 45% week 2. But I was so disappointed with the start of the season for Robert Woods and like excited about the bits we did see from Treylon Burks while he was on the field that I looked at this matchup and I said, okay, this is the week. I'm benching Robert Woods and I'm putting Treylon Burks in for him instead, right? But what do we see? Treylon Burks hardly even on the field in this game, it seemed like. And then Robert Woods out here, 9 targets in this game, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah, 9 targets, 4 receptions, 85 yards. Not a superstar game, but the usage matched the production here, right? Robert Woods is on the field. He gets the production. Treylon Burks is not.
Robert Fields is in the woods.
Robert Fields is in the woods. He gets how many, does the tree fall? Do you make noise?
If a tree falls, does Robert Fields make noise?
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I do.
No, I just, I don't think it's time for Treylon Burks yet. I think he's a great player, but he's just not on the field enough to be a fantasy startable option right now.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. He's a rookie wide receiver, so I'm hoping that he's able to develop into that as we go through the season. Most rookie wide receivers don't just come out of the gate, lighting the world on fire, like we've seen from players like Jamar Chase. Treylon Burks, he's very talented, but yeah, right now you can't start him. I'm with you, Simon. Until we see him start to be on the field more, get more opportunities, then I'm benching him. Are you dropping him? Is it that far, or is he still hold or stash and redraft?
You don't drop rookie wide receivers that you drafted. Like if you can help it, you don't drop these rookie wide receivers.
Right. You made that move.
You made that move. If you drafted them, you knew there was a chance it wasn't until like the second half of the year kind of thing. Like,
yeah, it's usually a bad move to hedge then.
Week 3 is then you're just like, then you're not getting the upside potentially from the wide receiver you drafted, and you're sacrificing it for a worse player, right? Like you're just getting rid of the upside option if you drop them now.
And you drafted Treylon Burks for probably the wrong reason. Or your expectations maybe were incorrect. You're expecting him to be better right off the bat.
Jane here with a really fun fact. Tommy will love this one. The teams the Raiders have lost to are 0-6 against all other teams. So the Raiders are
only week 3.
0-3, and all the other teams that they've played have 1 win against the Raiders. They have not beaten a single other team not named the Raiders. So every team the Raiders have lost to, they've only beaten the Raiders.
Wow. How does that make you feel, Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy. Did you expect to come in here and just get assaulted on this Monday morning? He said, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Anytime.
guys.
You're welcome.
Technically, it was Jay.
It was Jay. Salt in wounds. Multiple wounds. You're right. We didn't just pour salt in one wound. We were like, remember all of those losses so far this year? But Dale, maybe this is a time to talk about this, because I think this will make Tommy a little bit happier. Do we think the Raiders will bounce back? Or are we looking at a team that doesn't win many games this year? Like, are we looking at a 3-4 win team?
Let me pull up their schedule, because that might actually give me a better idea of what
they're... Yeah, so they've played 3 football games, Jalen. If you look at your schedule, you'll see that they're going to play 14 more. Some of them are going to be against the same teams, and some are going to be against different teams, just depending on the date.
Yeah, very interesting.
So that's how the schedule usually works.
So at least the next 3 games are Denver, Kansas City, and then Houston. And just looking through their schedule, I think it's going to be tough. They seem to have a pretty tough schedule. I mean, they faced the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 9. It's an auto loss at this point, right?
Yeah, the dominant 38-10 beating the Chargers, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, Super Bowl locks, the Jacksonville. I think it's going to be tough for them to, especially in this division, probably make the playoffs this year. But I do think that they can bounce back from 0-3. I think they will be better.
Well, I just think they got one too many McDaniel there. It's all about the singular is what we're learning.
You
need one McDaniel, and they've got McDaniels. It's just one too many McDaniel. If they could just turn Josh McDaniels into Josh McDaniel.
Consolidate,
right? Consolidate your assets. Why do you need 2 McDaniels back there? You just need one McDaniel, and then it's going to work out. I think they bounce back. We talk about, they've got some tough games on here, obviously, because they're in a tough division. So they're going to have some tough games that way, but there's a lot of winnable games on here. The Seahawks, the Colts. I think the Broncos, they could split or even sweep that series. The Texans, the Jaguars, the Patriots, the 49ers haven't looked unbeatable so far. Like, I think this will end up being a middle-of-the-pack Raiders team. And the reason I have that confidence is the pieces they have, right? Like, you look at this roster on paper, it's a good team. especially on the offensive side. Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs. Like, there's a reason we're not confused about who to start, and it's because they have great players. They've got great playmakers. This will be a better team. And Tommy in here letting us know, yeah, Broncos next. Who knows what's going to happen in that game? I feel like these are two of the teams I've been most confused about so far, the Broncos and the Raiders, and now they're playing each other. Who do you think is going to come out on top in that one, JL?
It's going to be exactly what we expect. It's just going to go the whole other way. Super predictable.
It's wildly predictable, but I don't even have a prediction. How am I supposed to predict a predictable outcome when I don't have a prediction?
I'll take the Broncos. Yeah, I'll take the Broncos.
You'll take the Broncos.
I think that Broncos defense will shake Derek Carr up a bit.
And I'll take the Raiders in that one. I think the Raiders get their first win against the Broncos next week. They pull that one out.
Wait a minute. So the Raiders play the Chargers week 1, and then the Cardinals week 2. Which is like, I mean, yeah, that's a tough start to the season too. You know, those are 2 tough matchups.
I mean, it's not Jacksonville, Detroit tough to start the year, but it's still
no
pretty
Jacksonville,
tough.
Detroit. No, of course not. But who is?
It still blows my mind that whenever we're talking about these teams, we sit there and we're like, yeah, we look at these good offenses like the Detroit Lions, and then it's just like a thing that everyone's like, yeah, indeed, yes, the good offense of the Detroit Lions, the Jared Goff-led offense of the Detroit Lions.
Jared Goff-led offense.
I feel like I had that moment of clarity just a little bit too late. Know what I mean? Like right before the season started, I was like, wait, if we if everyone in the community likes Amon-Ra St. Brown, if we like DeAndre Swift, if we like TJ Hawkinson, then why the hell is Jared Goff like the 24th quarterback off the board? You know what I mean? Like, I was sitting there thinking, like,
make it make sense.
But that clarity happened a little bit too late. It was like either all these weapons we need to downgrade, or Jared Goff should be going a lot higher in fantasy drafts. And it's looking like the answer is that Jared Goff should have been going at least a decent bit higher in the fantasy drafts.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Also, Tommy said, you guys are making me feel better. Maybe able to skip therapy this morning. Thank you. No, still go.
Yeah, you should definitely still go.
Important for Raiders fans and for everybody. Shout out therapy. It can help you even if you think you're healthy. Even if right now you're a Dolphins fan, just go preemptively. You know what I mean? Before that December 18th matchup when Dustin ruins your day.
Takes a giant poop on your desk.
Dustin took December 19th off work just so he can spend the whole day calling Dolphins fans and just yelling at them. Like, who's on top now, loser?
It's not a doubt in my mind that he walked into his office this morning and took out a can of paint, just December 19th or whatever it was.
18th. But 18th. The 19th is the day that he's going to talk all that trash.
But that's what he wrote because he couldn't remember the date.
December 18th or 19th.
Or around
everyone will pay.
Fish.
The next game I want to talk about, JL, this one was a fun one for you. The Ravens, they always do it. Even whenever it seems like it should be a game, they should win handily. They make it fun to watch at least. The Ravens beating the New England Patriots 37-26 in this game. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw.
Those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts?
I would follow that up with yeehaw.
Maybe a howdy as well.
A little bit of giddy up.
No, Lamar Jackson, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but nothing has made me happier than watching him take a gamble on himself, say no thanks to that contract he was offered, said I'll play for it, and then come out here and ball out like he has. 218 yards passing, but 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and another touchdown on the ground. Like, he's playing out of his mind right now. And if he keeps playing this way, it's name your price for Lamar Jackson. Like, truly, name your price. Ravens are going to have to pay it because somebody else will if they don't, right? Like, somebody else will pay Lamar Jackson whatever he wants next season if he keeps playing like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you, Simon. And I thought this game was going to go differently. I was very wrong. It of course ended up being a fun game. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, he is the guy there. And I fully agree with you. He should go and try and get paid. He is worth every penny that he makes. And for the amount of disrespect he's gotten from the media, from the league in general, and just people counting him out, like, I'm nothing but a Lamar Jackson fan.
Me too. He's like, how can you not be one of your favorite players in the NFL, right? Like, how can you not watch this and not just absolutely love Lamar Jackson? And Tim over here saying Lamar is carrying my Scott Fishbowl team. I bet you're not alone in that. Lamar Jackson's probably carrying a couple teams across that finish line. Guys, we're going to keep on breaking down these games, but coming up right next, we've got Wale Agunlia joining us on the show. So make sure you're sticking around. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
I believe one of our bosses at Better Sports Network put out a tweet asking all of the hosts on Better Sports Network to react to how their fantasy teams are going thus far. And my reaction was 2 words in all caps: not ideal. It's not having more of a 500 type of week. But then you had others respond saying they don't check their scores until Monday. Why? What? Is it just not fun watching your fantasy teams as the games are going on? I understand maybe not obsessing for the first hour, but normally, Ron, within the first 2 hours, I'm checking my scores. Why are some of our analysts on BSN against checking their scores until freaking Monday?
That to me is like you're watching porn and the girl starts to take off her shirt and then you click off the video. Why? Don't you want to see the rest? Like, come on, man. Sorry, I'm a person that has to look at scores. No matter how much I try and refrain, like I have to open it and look. So that's just me. Sometimes it's not good. I get it. I understand if someone doesn't want to check till the night. You have so many leagues. You don't want to put stress on yourself. But you're not checking Sunday night going into the night game to see what you have left. You don't want to know who your opponent has. You have, I don't know. For me, I got to check. So I got to look. No matter how much I have to, like right now with baseball, like I'm checking it every day. I mean, I thought in my home league I was done. This guy had a huge lead. I am actually a 1.5 back now. So now I'm like, oh, here we go. And I have another league that's close. So yeah, man, I mean, I got to check. If you don't want to check during 2-3 o'clock, I get it. It's early and things happen, but I'm always looking. So I don't see how you can go the whole day Sunday.
It's fun. Isn't it fun watching your scores while the games are going on? It's fun. I get that you're on tilt kind of, but that's why we play.
So what are you going to do? Not watch games all day and then be like, all right, I'll tune in at 7:15, see what happens. Like, that's what it's like doing. I don't know. I don't get it.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And Jail, during that break, I don't know how it hasn't come up yet. I was just staring at that beautiful jersey behind you on the screen, the T. Higgins Clemson jersey, and thinking about that Clemson victory this weekend. Man, I did not think they were going to pull that one out when it went into overtime. Like when overtime started, I just had this feel. I was like, man, they're going to lose. Like this will just become Clemson will go to a decent bowl game, but it's another year where it's just going to be a good season and not a great season. But they pulled it out, and shout out DJ Uiagalelei. He had a great game. He looked good out there, and I think he's felt a lot of pressure with them calling for the rookie Cade to come in there for him, right? But I was happy with what we saw from DJ yesterday, and the Tigers pulling out the double overtime victory.
Yeah, no, he did look good. You could tell he's put in the work this offseason. He has absolutely taken a step up. I don't know if it's enough to really be able to take this team to the championship or to keep, Cade Klubnik from supplanting him, but he did look good. And I respect people who put in the work and where you can see that progress,
Absolutely. And he slimmed down a bit. They were showing some pictures from last year, pictures to this year. Maybe that was a problem. I feel like usually we see these quarterbacks beef up as their college career continues, right? Like a problem is they're too little, but DJ had the opposite problem. That was a big dude. Like he's just a big, strong guy back there.
Yeah, no, I'm with him.
No, but that was so exciting. That was so much fun. It's been a while, I feel like, since we've had one of those like just pure nail biter, like high stakes games, like a ranked matchup going to overtime. Like it reminded me why I love college football, right? Like I think sometimes I get so into NFL that I forget about like the things that make college football special. But a game like that was just such a college game.
Yeah, it was a vintage college game.
Vintage college game right there. Almost a vintage Clemsoning, but we didn't end up getting that. And hopefully we don't get one of those. They're going up. Did you see they have game day this weekend going against NC State at home? So game day headed to Clemson for a top 10 matchup between Clemson and NC State. NC State in the top 10 now. Why?
Because they rejected me whenever I applied. So I was like Clemson, NC State, Virginia Tech were like the three that I was kind of circling around. NC State was only sort of because it was like a buddy of mine's dad taught there. And then it was down to Clemson, Virginia Tech. And I remember watching that game. I think it was either junior or senior year of high school and saying, all right, whoever wins this, I'm going to go. And Clemson ended up winning.
That's such a funny way to pick a school, JL. Like to say like, okay, whoever wins this football game is the school that I'm gonna spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a degree at. Whoever wins this game. It's up to you, Frank Beamer and Dabo Sweeney.
My future is in your hands.
I think one of my favorite photos of all time from any sports is the photo of Beamer at the end of regulation. It's Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, 0-0. And he's just got both fists in the air celebrating with the 0-0 final score at the bottom. Like, just yes! Like, that's hilarious. Did it. We made it. It's like the best photo ever. Joe, my final two schools, yours makes sense. It came down to Clemson and then Fordham in New York City, like the small liberal arts school in New York City. So it was either like one of like a huge Southern football school or a tiny New York City liberal arts school. And it was a really tough choice between the two, but I made
glad you picked Clemson.
Me too. I wouldn't have known you. I wouldn't have,
you don't know that.
I wouldn't have known Leanne. I wouldn't have, gotten kicked out of a bar whenever Clemson won the national championship. That wouldn't have happened either. All these amazing things that happened wouldn't have happened if I went to that school. I'd probably wear scarves and stuff like Coop.
Oh God. You probably like quote Nietzsche all the time.
Speaking of Coop, I hope his birthday weekend's going well.
Oh, I hope he's having the best birthday weekend.
He was at that 46?
70. Yeah, 46 sounds right.
Or 13. I can't remember. It was one of those two birthdays. They're both pretty big ones. 13 and 46. Imagine? Coop's 13. We've just been lying to everyone that I guess we haven't been
talking about hogs.
Hog.
That's hilarious.
Coop was at the Cardinals game yesterday. JL was there, or maybe I should call it the Rams game, because the Rams won this game 20-12 over the Arizona Cardinals. Matthew Stafford, 249 yards passing, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in this one. But Cooper Kupp still looking a little bit like Cooper Kupp. But if you had him on your team, you were probably disappointed. This wasn't the week you were looking for from him. Only 4 catches for 44 yards. Any concerns about this Rams offense, JL, or this was just a down week for them?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned. I think this is a down week. I'm not too worried about it. I think that they're going to be fine, especially fantasy wise. Great. It was great to see Cam Akers get worked into this game. That was new.
No, I mean, it was great for who?
For Cam Akers.
For Cam Akers, but I mean, like we're talking fantasy football. Who out there was like, oh, that was a really great week for me because Cam Akers got to work. I feel like everyone like had moved on, right? They were like, okay, like let's move on. Let's move on to Darrell Henderson now.
But for him and his career, that's great.
You're right.
Happy for him.
Happy for you, Cam Akers. Not happy.
Darrell Henderson probably lost a lot of value.
Yeah. Lost me some leagues too.
You think this switches back and forth? Do you think this is indicative of a broader change? Or broader trend, maybe is the right word, that Cam Akers is gonna, take over as the one there.
I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Right now, I'm not looking at this as like a broader trend. Like all of a sudden, Cam Akers is the lead back, and they were just kidding with Darrell Henderson. Like I'm not buying into that. But if next week we see again a split like this, 12 carries Cam Akers, 4 carries Darrell Henderson, right? Like then you start looking, okay, maybe there was something going on at the beginning of the season. Maybe Cam Akers still wasn't fully good to go, or they wanted to ease him back in. But I need another week where Cam Akers is really like by far has more carries than Darrell Henderson before I start making that call. For now, I'm going to view it as some weeks will be Darrell Henderson weeks, some weeks will be Cam Akers weeks, and a lot of weeks it's going to be neither. You're just going to want to start neither one of them because they'll be eating into each other.
Yeah, I want to see it more than this week. I mean, they clearly want to probably use both of these guys if they have them available to them. So what Darrell Henderson will be able to do and what kind of role he'll be able to carve out there remains to be seen. I don't think anyone can accurately say which way it's going to go right now.
Yeah, no, it's a messy backfield. It's one that you hoped there was a clear back end, but it doesn't look like we're going to get that from the Rams. As far as the receivers go, it's obviously Cooper Kupp. He's the dude. Allen Robinson. God, they tried. They're trying so hard to get him touchdowns. Doesn't it feel like it? Like they get to the red zone and they're like, okay, Allen, this time. This one's for you. Right here. Right ready? In your hands, in the end zone.
He's time, like, buddy.
Dang it, Matt. Can you try one more time? And then Matt's like, okay, one more time, buddy. We'll try one more time. And he goes out there. Shoot. I messed this one up again. But they're trying to use him. They're trying to use him in that way, JL. They want to use him in the red zone. Do you think there's better weeks ahead for Allen Robinson?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to pull up his target share. So if you bear with me a second, I will. Yeah, no, there's absolutely better weeks ahead for Allen Robinson. They brought him in to play football. They want him to play football. So it stands to reason that he will play football. And I expect him to. So far in the season, he's got 11.9% target share. That's 12 targets for weeks 1 through 3. He had 2 and then 5 and then 5. Cooper Kupp is the dominant guy. He's going to be in this offense. No one's surprised with that. 34.7% target share. Higbee is the next with 23.8% target share. And then Ben Skronik, 12.9%.
Of course.
So I think that'll shift. Ben Skronik is not going to. We're still pretty heavily skewed by this small sample size, right? Only three games, and because they haven't been able to get Allen Robinson really clicking, it's showing. But I don't think that these are. I think these are lagging indicators. They're not predictive indicators.
I'll lag your indicator, but I agree with you as well. Allen Robinson's getting the work and he's on the field and he's running the routes and they're sending him some high value targets, right? Like he is being targeted in the end zone. He's catching one of those 2 passes his way from us being happy about his fantasy week right here. Maybe not thrilled, but happy with it, cool with it, right? Yeah. Because what did he get? He had 5 targets, 2 catches, 23 yards. He turns that into 5 targets, 3 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown. You're not like jumping through the roof, but then you're happy with that week. Also, JL, Craig brings up a really good point in here. He says indicator, but you hardly know her.
That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. And Dustin says the emphasis JL puts on Skronik makes it sound dirty. Say it again, JL.
Skronik?
Oh, it does sound dirty.
That's how they said it on the broadcast a bunch of times. So
Tommy agreeing as well.
How do you say it? Skronik.
Yeah,
is that how you're supposed to say it?
Yeah, just like Will Ferrell in Eurovision is how I say it with that specific accent. Will Ferrell doing an Icelandic accent, I believe.
You say it. Tell me the right way.
Oh, I don't know the right way. I'm just mocking you.
I say it. Let's hear it.
Oh, Dustin clarifying. It's like you're saying scrotum, JL. That's why. That's why it's.
You're just making fun of the man's name. I see now.
No, you say Skronek. You emphasize the neck. No, the neck. You emphasize the neck, and then it's okay, JL. You don't have to worry about it. But we'll just call him Ben. Yeah, Ben is not a guy that I'm like thrilled to be plugging into my lineup week in, week out. But he's getting targets in a Rams offense. Like there are worse bye week fill-ins or worse flex plays to put in there. But if I have to pick Allen Robinson or Ben Skronik rest of season, it's still Allen Robinson, even though we've seen more production from Ben.
Yeah. I'm with
Ben not quite getting the job done over there. Dale, on the other side of the ball, we talked about the most important player, Mr. Dortch, Greg Dortch. But I think the bigger story here is just this offense has not looked good. This Arizona Cardinals offense is really struggling. Do you think this is a coaching issue, a personnel issue, or is this offense just like really missing DeAndre Hopkins?
I don't think it's really missing DeAndre Hopkins because when DeAndre Hopkins is playing, he wasn't, with Tyler last year, it just wasn't, the targets weren't there. They weren't clicking. And so I don't think it's a DeAndre Hopkins situation. They haven't been all bad. They've been pretty decent. The first 2 weeks, I know they played Buffalo week 1, which is going to be, I'm looking at the Rams right now, not the Cardinals. That's why I'm tripping.
You're tripping. They played the Chiefs week 1, JL lost 44-21. They beat the Raiders in week 2, 29-23 in that amazing comeback win. And then they lost to the Rams this week 20-12 in a messy one.
Yeah, I don't think they've been playing horribly. I think it's just a matter of Kyler's coming back. They are getting back into their stride, and it'll start clicking. This is a good offense, and I'm not too worried.
I'm maybe a little bit more worried just because I feel like I've only seen glimpses of this offense looking good, right? Like in the fourth quarter against that Raiders game, it looked great. And I thought, okay, maybe they figured something out. And then they come out here against the Rams and like just don't look like that same offense that we saw in the fourth quarter against the Raiders. So I want to see them put together a decent game. Next week, they're going up against the Panthers. Like that's a game they should win. Like they need to go out there and they need to have a statement win against the Baker Mayfield-led Carolina Panthers. Like I want to see them win that one big, and then I'll feel a little bit better about this offense going forward. But there was one bright spot, at least on this offense. Marquise Brown finally giving us the game that I think we expected from Marquise Brown when we drafted him, right? 17 targets, 14 receptions, 140 yards for Mr. Hollywood. Dale, is this a sign of things to come? Like maybe they realize if this offense is going to get going, we got to do it through Hollywood.
I mean, yeah. Who else are they going through? Right? Like Hollywood is the guy there. They threw 58 times this game. That's ridiculous. They're not going to do that every week. But yeah, Marquise Brown's guy there. You know, it's there's no one really pushing him or contending. You know, it's not Dortch is there and he's a good fill-in for Rondale Moore. He's not a threat to Marquise Brown. I think when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, Marquise Brown will likely it'll likely be a 1A, 1B situation where DeAndre Hopkins is the outside guy and Marquise Brown just gets used all over the field. So yeah, I'm not worried about Marquise Brown. I don't know who would be after this week, whereas he had a great week, but I think he'll be the guy here.
I'm excited for Marquise Brown. You're probably going to get a couple more weeks like this until DeAndre Hopkins come back. Like a couple more weeks with this, just like not 17 targets. Cause like you said, JL, they're not going to throw the ball 58 times a game, but you could see him with 10 plus targets multiple times until DeAndre Hopkins gets back. And then when he gets back, his upside may go down because he's not going to get targeted as much in this offense with Nuke in there. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be a worse fantasy play. This offense is better with DeAndre Hopkins on the field. Marquise Brown probably gets better coverage or worse coverage, better for him whenever DeAndre Hopkins is on the field as well. It's just another piece the defenses have to worry about. So I'm in. Start Hollywood each week.
Yeah.
Craig, and you're saying Hollywood, Arizona is actually a town in Graham County, Arizona. Wow. Do you think he did that on purpose? Do you think his middle name is named after the one in Arizona or the one in California?
The one in Arizona.
One of my favorite bits from any TV show is that the D was stolen from the Hollywood sign in BoJack Horseman, and just everyone now calls it Hollywood. Like no
Hollywood.
one like the sign is what determines the name, and the D's gone, so everyone's just like, "Yep, guess it's Hollywood."
Shoot, I changed
God.
my address.
No, someone took it right there. And Working Grind asking, is Dortch done when Moore gets back on the field? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but JL, I believe you thought maybe. I thought no, but you sound a little bit more like you thought Dortch was not startable once Moore is back.
I don't know that he'll be startable. This will depend on the nature with which Rondale Moore comes back, right? He's dealing with a hamstring issue. If it's something that's continuing to bother him, then they'll likely bring him back and mix Dortch and like split between him and Dortch, or to however Rondale needs to be able to heal. So I'm not saying that Dortch is absolutely done, but I'm saying if all things are equal, I don't think Dortch has won this job. Which I believe was the question from earlier in the show. I don't think that he has supplanted Rondale Moore while Rondale Moore has been hurt.
And I disagree a little bit. I think there's a very real chance based on what we've seen from Dortch. Like I've been impressed. We've seen flashes from Rondale Moore, but never anything consistent, that Dortch might have taken a step up in the depth chart whenever it comes to filling this role for this team. I want to see it play out, but I do think Dortch isn't going away just because Rondale Moore is back.
Yeah, I don't think he's going away either. But yeah, my main argument would be draft capital, right? Draft capital. Rondale Moore is a second-round draft pick, and they haven't really seen him enough. So I think they'll want to work him back in. He's been dealing with injuries.
I see Brendan in here asking us, did you guys already talk about Mac Hollins? If not, do you think he's worth the waiver ad? His targets keep going up. So, JL, yeah, we hit on this a little bit earlier. Hunter Renfrow was out this game. How do you feel about Mac Hollins?
Yeah, Mac Hollins is a guy who I think you could probably stash, and you have to wait and see how he's used with Hunter Renfrow coming back. But Hunter Renfrow is going to limit his usage. It doesn't mean that he won't have big weeks. He's still seemingly getting targets even when Hunter Renfrow is playing, according to one single sample size, one game, one observation. But he's good. He seems to have a rapport with Derek Carr, so I think he'll have a role. I think it'll be smaller than what we've seen with Renfrow out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Mac Hollins is someone that I view him as like a bye-week fill-in kind of player, but he looked great in yesterday's game. I'm just not trying to chase those points.
Right. And we got a question from Hal in the chat. Said Hollins or Claypool rest of season. I'll go Claypool.
What was the question? What were the two players?
It was Mac Hollins or Chase Claypool rest of season. I'm gonna go Claypool.
Yeah, I think I'll go Claypool as well in this one. Claypool's still a great football player. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're seeing little bits of it in these Steelers games. It's just not the world's best situation, but I'm still going to go Claypool in that one. That's a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be, though.
Yeah. And I mean, me as well.
Guys, joining us very shortly, we are going to have special guest, former NFL player Wale Agunlia, coming on the show to talk with us a little bit about a new show that he's got coming out. For those of you that do not know Wale, come on, but he is a former defensive end for the Dolphins, Bears, and Texans, one-time Pro Bowler in 2003. And Wale is hosting a new show called Long Game, being produced by Players TV and UBS. It is a show where they're providing viewers a unique look into the personal experiences, business ventures, and philanthropic efforts of some of the most decorated athletes. Once Wale gets up here, we'll have him tell you a little bit more about this exciting program coming out. But we'll see. We got to get Wale. We got to get him up here first.
Tim asking, what do you think I can get for DeAndre Hopkins before he comes back? I want to keep him, but will always entertain offers. That's a good question. DeAndre Hopkins, this is going to, of course, be league dependent, right? What can you get for DeAndre Hopkins? So just talking market value, I don't know. I mean, he's got to be probably like a wide receiver 3 level of value at this point in the season. What do you think, Simon?
My first thoughts are more on like I want to answer your question, but I want to take a step back first. If you're looking at DeAndre Hopkins, a player who hasn't played a game yet this season, and you're trying to trade him away, you can only trade with a couple teams in your league. You're looking at the teams that are 3-0 through this week, right? Like, you're looking at the teams that haven't lost a game and maybe have some of that extra depth. They can afford to sit on a player that's injured. You're probably not trading DeAndre Hopkins to an 0-2, 0-3 team. So it's got to be a winning team. And then, yeah, it's going to be fill-in caliber players. You know what I mean? You're probably not going to get an RB1 or a wide receiver 1 for DeAndre Hopkins. If you're looking at wide receiver, like, I don't know. Do you think you could trade DeAndre Hopkins now for Cortland Sutton, or do you think still that's going to be too much?
I think that would be too much.
On the running back side, what about like, do you think you could get a Damien Pierce for DeAndre Hopkins?
If a team is desperate, yeah. I think a lot of people it's going to be hard to trade DeAndre Hopkins right now because people haven't seen it, right? And he's still suspended. And so you're asking them to take on this essentially 2 weeks of no points, right? And losing the asset, you're selling at a discount. And so and you've held on this far. Honestly, I would just keep holding and then wait until he comes back and then sell because his value is going to go up then.
Yeah, I agree with you. It looks like we're having some technical difficulties with Wale. We'll have to get him back on here another time to talk with us. But Dale, before the show ends today, we have that very exciting Monday night football game between Cooper Rush, Daniel Jones, the Dallas Cowboys taking a trip up to New Jersey to play the New York Giants. Giants at home are 1-point favorites. The spread at ±1, and the total is set at a very exciting and promising 39.5 over under for this one. JL,
wow.
How do you expect this game to go? Who's going to win this game?
Well, I think the Giants are going to win this game. I'm going to take the Giants. I know they're favorite. I don't know if I would. I think I would take the over actually on 39.5. I think we get an interesting game. Maybe it's just like the opposite of what we got yesterday.
You think we're getting an interesting game here? Who did you say you think is going to come out on top in this one?
I'll take Giants.
You'll take the Giants here. They remain undefeated. Do you think the Giants, Eagles, and Dolphins after 3 weeks will be 3-0? I see Brendan in here saying, I need Shepard to get 25 points tonight. LMAO. Yeah, that's a tall
for you,
ask, Brendan.
Praying for you.
Not impossible.
No,
but
not impossible, but definitely you're asking a lot.
I mean, JL, like, let's take a peek at the top 10 wide receivers for this week. Is it really more like unlikely? Like, we've got, but 25 points. There's only 3 wide receivers that scored 25 or more PPR points this week. Devonta Smith, Mac Hollins, and Marquise Brown. I guess Sterling Shepard can do it. If Mac Hollins can do it, Sterling Shepard can do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Mac Hollins. That might have been a little bit rude in your direction. I'm going to give this one to the Cowboys. I think Cooper Rush gets it done over these New York Giants, and the Giants are not undefeated through 3 weeks. I just can't stand. Bet? Yeah, let's do an animal noise bet for tomorrow morning.
All right.
An animal noise with an adjective bet.
Okay.
We've upgraded. It's not just a vulture anymore. It's a hungry vulture.
Oh, Jay, your Giants better not let me down or I'm going to be mad.
And Working Grind in your house saying, I need the New York Giants to just crap the bed tonight. Just absolutely crap the bed.
Just absolutely crap the bed.
They're right before that saying, I just spilled a full cup of hot coffee in my crotch. Well, happy Monday. Welcome to Monday morning, Hal. That's a great way to start your Monday. Jail, outside of who we think is going to win this game, I don't know what to expect from some of these players. I know people are disappointed in Ezekiel Elliott, right? They haven't been happy with him through the first 2 weeks. Do you think we start seeing a bounce back performance from him this week?
Yeah, I do. The Giants is a plus matchup for him. I'm hoping that they're able to use him a lot, especially if Cooper Rush is struggling in the passing game. He played Tampa Bay in week 1. It's a very tough matchup. Tough. Played the Bengals in week 2. Another tough matchup. Tough. But he had 10 attempts, 15 attempts, and I'm hoping that trend continues to go upwards this week.
Yeah. I know people are calling for Tony Pollard to take over in that backfield, thinking that he looks better, that he should be the guy. Do you think we see that this season?
No, I don't think he'll take over. I think Jerry Jones would never accept that he paid all that money for Ezekiel Elliott to have Tony Pollard take over.
Yeah. If Jerry Jones is somehow so predictably unpredictable, right? Know what I mean? Like he's the kind of guy that's like unpredictable, but you can tell exactly when he's going to be unpredictable.
Because he just says it in press conferences too. He's just like super transparent randomly.
Also, I just love like how irresponsible he is sometimes. Like Dak gets injured. He's not listening to the doctors. He's going on the radio the next day and being like, 4 weeks, no problem. Like, instead of like listening to the doctor saying 6 to 8 weeks, he's like, no, I'm going to go on the radio and make a public announcement to everybody listening that it's going to be 4 weeks. Yeah. I just had a moment though. I feel like I connected with him a little bit. He's the overpromise guy. Know what I mean? I think he has the best intentions when he said it. Like when he said 4 weeks, I think he believed in his heart of hearts that it could be 4 weeks, that it could be great. But instead of communicating that was his optimistic outlook on it, he's just communicating that, and then everyone's going to get pissy.
That's hilarious. And Hal asked, do you think Zeke is RB1 or RB2 rest of the season? I think it's probably more likely he's going to end up right at like a high-level RB2, a high-end RB2. But he has his floor is not there. So I think he could finish as a back-end RB2, maybe worst-case scenario, RB3. That would be really bad.
I think RB2 is safe for him. And then you have to remember, we are going to get Dak Prescott back, and this offense should look better whenever Dak Prescott is back. That provides more touchdown opportunities for Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's fine.
It's just 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks. We can't, it's not something we can say if this is life now, because that'll burn you every single time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, we are approaching the end of our show here. Before we go, though, I know we were not able to get our friend Wale Agunlia on the show today, but everybody should check out his new show coming up. It's called Long Game, and he's getting into some of the business ventures of professional athletes like Damian Lillard, Ken Griffey Jr., and Andrew Ward. So make sure you're checking out his new show. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, we're out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy Cooper Rush versus Daniel Jones.
Bye-bye.
I guess. See you later, everyone.
See you tomorrow.